The following program is a presentation of DC Communications, LLC. Warning, you are about to listen to the greatest radio show ever. And due to contractual obligations and to shield our airwaves corporate licensees from any semblance of liability, responsibility, and gullibility, we must tell you the views represented on this show are not necessarily those of this station or its management. This radio show contains differing points of view on current political topics, and due to the nature of its contents, it should be heard by everyone. Thank you for listening.
3, 2, 1.
Now live from the heart of liberal Wisconsin, where the political party is just beginning, welcome to the Devil's Advocate Show. Best friends proving it's never personal, only politics.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
Now here are your hosts, Dom and Crute.
Welcome to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. Dominic, happy Thursday to you.
Happy Thursday, Crudy. Kind of feels like a Friday, man.
Well, that's because we're not working tomorrow. Big holiday weekend and all. And Dominic, we got a fine guest right from the top. WRD Resistance Radio's own Darryl Ingram, former Green Bay Packer Darryl Ingram.
I got to say, guys, so Crudy, when you're playing ball in high school, and if you're playing sophomore ball and your varsity team made the playoffs, then you got pulled up to the varsity squad.
I did. I played in the state tournament as a sophomore.
So, you guys pulled me up. I'm on the varsity team. I'm just making it rock and roll. Nice. Like I'm on the varsity squad this afternoon. So.
Well, we may be sophomoric here. Darryl, welcome to the big show.
The varsity show.
Yeah. The JV squad. Fancy Brian already out on the streets. Darryl, wanted to talk about this topic. Scott Walker had to jump out there, had to tweet out about the NFL. He had put out something, and we must remember he also headed the Republican Governors Association. And then he also had this personal piece, and, his prior, early campaigning on the topic was something like, stand up. And now yesterday, I believe his tweet was something to the effect, it's about time. Now, I retweeted it, Dom. If you're looking for it, it's on our stream as well. First and foremost, why would the governor of the state of Wisconsin get involved in this issue, standing during the national anthem during NFL games, yet no tweets whatsoever about the tasing and the arrest of Sterling Brown, Milwaukee Bucks player, right here in the city?
Oh, it's simple. He's throwing red meat to what he thinks is his base. With it's about time you stand up, because we have these folks who think that they're being patriotic because they are going to salute the flag, and that's not what patriotism is. And then the converse to that, the people who are interested in Sterling Brown and what happened, those aren't the people that are going to vote for him anyway. So that's why, in my opinion, why he did not reach out. If he wants to be the governor of all of us, like you would have been if you were continuing on, and like somebody on the Democratic
nice
side.
Nice of you to say.
Yeah, just throw that in there. But you would have been the governor for all of us, not just half of us, or parts of us, and that's what he's picking and choosing.
He's always been the governor to the 50 plus one. He thinks that like plus one is a mandate to just stick it to the minority.
Well, 50% plus one means that he gets elected, and it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks.
That's right. Darryl, quickly, let me get the actual text of the tweet. Scott Walker, yesterday, it's about time, exclamation point. Glad to see the @NFL stop the disrespect of our flag and those who have fought to defend our country, and then the emoji flag.
Okay.
And then he shares, of course, the USA Today.
So here's I think the thing that you have to start with Governor Walker, and the thing to start with is that he's an idiot. You got to start there, that he's an idiot. He doesn't understand this country at all. My sister was in the Navy, and if you ask her if she fought for the right to stand up for the flag, she's like, no, I fought for the right for you to do anything. You can, if you want to lay down when the flag and the anthem is played, you can do that. That's what we fought for. Freedom of choice, absolutely. The First Amendment, peaceful assembly, right? Scott Walker just does not understand, and he's feeding to that base.
Oh, he understands.
Well, I don't think that he does, Mike. And the reason I don't think that he does is that freedom in this country you know, if you choose to stand up for the anthem and the flag, that's your choice, and that's how you are defining America for you. But if I choose to not do that, it doesn't make me less American. It doesn't make me less patriot. I'm choosing that to represent my view of America. And we all are different. I have a completely different experience than you guys do just because I'm black. And so based on my different experience, I'm going to see the world, this country, the state, Scott Walker, differently. And those opinions are valid and real. And so when Scott Walker is saying it's about time, he is acknowledging that it's okay for a group of Americans to tell another group of Americans how to be American, and that's crap.
Well, of course, it's a divide and conquer wedge issue, and that's exactly what he wants. He wants social wedge issues. That's what the man runs on. That's why he has been reelected a couple times. We got a fine guest, former Packer Darryl Ingram, WRD, Resistance Radio's own. I'm sure you heard him during the JV game just prior.
I scored 2 touchdowns in the JV game.
Well, that's 2 more than I ever scored. Darryl, let me ask you. You had mentioned to us when you played in the NFL in the early 90s for the Packers and the Vikings also?
And the Browns, yeah.
Oh, Browns.
Yep.
3 teams in total?
3 teams in total in 5 years, yep.
Okay. But at that time, the NFL players did not come out for the national anthem. And in fact, that only started when the NFL contracted with the U.S. military because they were having a hard time attracting new troops. This happened in 2009.
2009.
This is a bought and paid for patriotism from the NFL.
2009, the military went and said to the NFL, hey, it'd be great if all the players could be on the field. It would be a great recruiting tool. So they negotiated a contract. I think it was like $15 or $16 million. It was over 10. I'm not sure if it was 15 or 16, but it was over 10. And because of that, all the players had to be on the field for the anthem. When I played, we didn't have to be on the field for the anthem. Never. It was never even, I mean, sometimes you would be, sometimes you wouldn't be, depends on if you needed extra treatment or got taped or just depending on what it was.
But there was no organizational
there was no rule to
demand of each team and everybody.
Not at all. And now that there is, based on what happened yesterday, I'm sickened by it. And quite frankly, what's going to happen, so the other side of the coin is if you don't want to stand up for the anthem, you can stay into the locker room. Last year, Mike Tomlin, coach of the Steelers, they did that. He's like, forget this. We're just going to stay in the locker room. Now, what happened is Alejandro Villanueva, who was a Army Ranger, he was a captain, and he was going to stand into the tunnel, but he ended up being on the field. And he got kind of separated from.
Got caught in the cameras.
Right. And so what happened? His jersey sales skyrocketed. All of these people who were he's a patriot, he's a former military guy. Of course he came out on the field. He said he was embarrassed. He goes, I wish I hadn't done that. I didn't mean to do that. I didn't mean to throw my coach under the bus by doing that. And so Mike Tomlin, he got accused by a fire chief in Pennsylvania, of some unpatriotic things, and the man called him the word that people call black people when they get upset, and that's going to happen again. And if it's a white coach, he's going to be called a traitor. So when the white coach of whatever team does not take his team out onto the field for the anthem, he'll be called a traitor and unpatriotic and all these other things. So this thing is far, far from over.
Darryl, from the reporting yesterday in the Washington Post, a quote from NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell. Clearly our objective as a league and to all 32 clubs, which was unanimous, is that we want people to be respectful of the national anthem. Darryl, is this protest that started in the NFL, do you see this as a protest against the national anthem?
Well, so of course not. So the first thing with his statement is who gets to decide what's respectful? Like who's that?
The guy that signs the checks.
Right. Well, no, not according to the collective bargaining agreement. It's not true. So there's an agreement that details the interaction between the players.
And this was passed without the union.
This is, of course. And the new CBA is going to be negotiated 2019 for 2020. This will definitely be brought up. This is something that the players will push back big time. But to answer your question, no, this was First Amendment, Colin Kaepernick, who talked to the military and said, do you think this would be disrespectful? People of the military told him, no, we don't think so. We fought for your right to do whatever you want to do. He quietly took a knee and protested on his own. It was an internal thing for him.
And what do you think he was protesting?
I know he's protesting. He's protesting the systematic murder of black men by law enforcement. I mean, that's what he said. He stated that. So I understand the emotion on both sides. But what I want people to consider is you don't just get to have your point of view. You don't just get to say, well, he's protesting the flag, or he's protesting the military, he's protesting this country. There's a meme going around on Facebook that racism is so American that when we protest racism, people think we're protesting America. Right. And it's true. That's exactly what this is. He wasn't protesting America. He's protesting the systematic murder of black men by law enforcement.
What about
period.
The rights of ownership to, dictate how they want their employees to behave?
Well, I think you got to work that through the collective bargaining agreement, which is policed by the National Labor Relations Board. And then also, I'm sure the ACLU is going to have something to say about this because it's an attack on civil liberties. It's First Amendment rights. So,
but it's not the government coming down and attacking.
It's not the government, but when we come in to work here in the studio, I'm not pledging allegiance to the flag before I go on the air. I don't have to do that. There's all these people who say, well, I think they should do this and I think they should do that. And what they should have done is take the freaking thing away from the game. Just no anthem at the game at all, and that would have solved the problem. But of course they can't do that because of what Trump said, and they're trying to appease that side. So it's interesting, but I don't like this at all.
We don't require test of patriotism, but I do expect a loyalty to Crudy. Folks,
Crudy, taking one from the Trump playbook right there.
Absolutely. We are the Devil's Advocates. He is our friend Darryl Ingram, Resistance Radio's own former Green Bay Packer. That makes him an absolutely good guy all the way around. Darryl, I want to come back. The economics. I mean, that's what this is all about.
Of course, follow the money.
Perhaps pandering to the bullying president, but also ratings are off.
Follow the money.
And I'm not saying it's all related. I'd say some of the concussion issues you've chronicled on your show might factor into why some of the
I actually happen to be getting
off.
a master's degree in this very issue right now. I had class last night. We'll talk about it when we come back. The economics of it.
Excellent, but I don't let the Gus throw to break, man. This ain't the JV game. This is the varsity.
I was telling you that we would come back with it.
I don't even
going to break. Are we going to break?
We are going to break, and I don't even let Dom hardly ever throw us to break.
Well, Dom, you need to take some man lessons and take over. And
He's not even. He didn't even make the JV water boy.
You need to take the break and go on your own, Dom. You can do it. I got your back, man. Normally you couldn't do it, but I got you today. Go ahead, man.
Right. That's some high quality H2O. Come back with us, Darryl Ingram, the water boy. And, the high school legend, Crudy. After the short break, more Devil's Advocates. Resistance Radio.
Do you know what a hero you are to me?
I presume you're referring to my 4 touchdowns in one game?
J.D. Davis Funeral Home, located at 4803 West Burlott Street, is dedicated, dignified, and distinguished in serving you in your time of need. Direct cremation specials starting at a very low cost of $595. That does not include cremation permit or crematory fee. Traditional funeral packages starting at $1,995 with a 20-gauge metal casket included. Title 19, Milwaukee County General Assistance accepted. Call today, 414-444-8300.
If you're like a lot of companies, you know you need IT, but you aren't sure where to start. That's where Five Nines comes in. Hi, I'm Todd Stryker, President and CEO. For almost 15 years, Five Nines has been providing IT solutions to companies just like yours. We'll show you the solutions that are right for your business and give you the roadmap to success in the future. Find us at 5nines.com. That's the number 5, NINES.com.
So, Jesse, why should someone buying a home pay for an agent when they can go online or call the number on a for sale sign?
Great questions. First of all, never call the number on a sign to see a home. That's the seller's agent, and they don't represent your interests. If they show you a home outside of an open house, you forfeit your ability to have someone negotiate in your corner at no cost to you.
Well, with interest rates still at historic lows, how can buyers still get a great deal and protect their rights?
Step 1, find a buyer's agent that you trust. Your agent will best find the home that fits your needs, anticipate problems, and negotiate on your behalf from offer through closing day. And most home listing contracts stipulate that the seller's agent pays for the buyer's commission.
Solidarity Realty. They're real, they're solid, they're honest. Whether buying or selling in Madison or Dane County, call Solidarity Realty, 608-284-9311, or find them at solidarityrealty.com.
Brad Zog, owner of Zero Res Madison. Brad, why should people use Zero Res Madison?
Why wouldn't you clean your carpets like this? We've got a patented system. We also do another step that most people don't do. We have a double rotating brush machine that we use when we pre-treat the carpet. So this helps dig up any of that stuff that's deeper in your carpet that the vacuum doesn't get. We're going to provide that intermediary step before we clean with our empowered water.
Call Zero Res today, 608-848-9000. Zero Res. Spell it forward or backward. It's the right way to clean.
Jeff's Guitar Clinic is a multifaceted shop offering guitars, amplifiers, and all accessories, guitar lessons for all ages, and instrument repair of the highest quality. Jeff'sGuitar.com.
Today we decided to walk to school. The light counted. 15, 14.
13.
We took a left on Carroll Street. Danny's smart, but he gets distracted. He realized he forgot his homework. I hope he doesn't have another bad day at school.
When you can see learning and attention issues from their side, you can be on their side. That's why there's Understood.org, a free resource for the parents of the 1 in 5 kids with learning and attention issues. Go from misunderstanding to Understood.org. Brought to you by Understood and the Ad Council.
Indoor baseball, anyone?
Most party fouls are pretty dumb, but if you decide to drink and drive underage, you could lose your license and your freedom. Learn more at ultimatepartyfoul.org. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Josh Call, the candidate for Wisconsin Attorney General.
Do you think voter ID had a suppressive effect, not on 100 voters, but on thousands of voters and perhaps tipped the election to Donald Trump?
This is an issue that came up at our trial. And first of all, I should thank you guys because we actually introduced into evidence the recording of you interviewing Dale Schultz, who was talking about the passage of the voter ID law. That was one of our pieces of evidence.
I would have gotten away with it too if it wasn't for those meddling devil's advocates. Kicking ass and taking names since the Wisconsin Uprising. Dom and Crute are the Devil's Advocates.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show on Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network. Also streaming on YouTube and Facebook. The Twitter feed at Devil Radio and the phone lines to check in, 844-967-2789.
And that big guy next to Dominic is Darryl Ingram, former Green Bay Packer. He, of course, a host right here on WRD Resistance Radio, and he's our fine guest in this hour. Darryl, Sterling Brown, Bucks player, this tasing incident that happened in Milwaukee, it seems like we need no other proof that there still might be reason and rationale for especially African-American NFL players to protest. Doesn't seem like much has changed. There are plenty of reasons apparently to get tased, to get shot, to get discriminated against still for effectively just being black.
Yeah, I mean, and that's where we need to go with this whole thing. We discussed this on our show yesterday. Let's be real with each other. Black people bring out fear in white people. Not every black person, not every white person, but that's reality. People are afraid of black people, and that comes from a historical perspective. That comes from the media. There's a lot of different things that have fed into that. And that's reality. So when cops go, this young man, Sterling, is 6'6", 2 o'clock in the morning, driving a nice car, gets pulled over, or the cops see that he's parked sort of perpendicular across 2 spots. They wait for him to come out. They instead of just if it was you, Crudy, or you, Dom, you guys would the cops would have said, dude, you can't park like that.
Oh, that's right.
And it would be like, okay, here's a $250 ticket. You jerk, don't do it again. And that would have been the end of it. But for some reason, this 6'6" black guy come out late at night, and
wearing a hoodie.
And they call 6 backup cars. Right? Why would they call 6 backup cars to give a guy a ticket?
Where there's 6 backup cops just waiting to be called over for a parking violation at 2 o'clock in the morning in this city.
Well, I don't know where they are, but they heard large black man on the radio, and they were there lickety-split. I mean, they were there. And then somehow he ends up tased on the ground and arrested. And what was he arrested for, Dom? Did you read what he was arrested for?
Resisting arrest?
He was arrested for resisting arrest.
No, it wasn't even resisting arrest. He was arrested for the suspicion of resisting arrest.
Come on. And so Mayor Baird said what he had to say. The police.
What do you think about the mayor's statement? And I heard him go on Whitey Righty radio. It was his goal, what, to appease the white suburbanites?
Both people, so white suburbanites and also black people in the inner city. What I heard was
they're not listening to TMJ this morning.
But what I heard when I heard it was, yeah, this is some racist crap. Our bad. We messed up. Please don't riot the heck out of Milwaukee, because we don't want what happened in L.A. and other places around the country. Please don't do
Sherman
that.
Park right here in Milwaukee.
Of course. Yeah, exactly. So please don't do that. We're going to do our best to try to get better. But yeah, we effed up, and yes, there's proof of it. And that's what I heard when I heard him say what he said.
Yeah, but the Whitey Righty host literally does a salute to service. I mean, they're embracing the boys in blue. They always are deserving of our respect. This is after Barrett came on their station today. Where has Tom Barrett been? I mean, he should have been on the Darryl Ingram show this morning. He should have been on your show.
He should have been saying something.
Dom's been trying to book Tom Barrett for what?
Since February.
Wow.
Yeah, where the hell's Tom Barrett?
Wow.
I mean, I quite frankly, yeah, there goes the cops. But I quite frankly think Tom would have been better served, as would our audience, if Tom Barrett had come and actually spoken to an authentic place where
contrition
African Americans might actually be listening. Because I don't think they were tuning into the Jay Weber show this morning. I haven't seen all the demos, but it's not
I think your point's very well taken, Mike. I think it's he was speaking to an audience to try to appease a certain group of people who were the wrong people. So, yeah, I think you're right.
Well, Darryl, you're always the right people when you hang out with the Devil's Advocates. Thanks for doing so today.
I appreciate it,
Even when you're not, man. Thanks, dude.
Even when I'm not the right people?
Even when you're not hanging out
Is
with
it
the
a black
Devil's
thing, Don?
Advocates.
We got to get into that right now on the air?
You're just too damn sexy, man.
Come on, between you and Earl, we got 2 black friends. And they're both last name Ingram.
What a coincidence.
Hey, Darryl, thanks a lot. More
Thanks,
Devil's
guys.
Advocates on the other side. Phone lines open, 844-967-2789.
Join the resistance against dirty carpets. Call Zero Res Madison today for our summer special. Clean and sanitize 3 rooms for only $139. Call 608-848-9000 or schedule online at ZeroResMadison.com. Zero Res, spell it forward or backward, it's the right way to clean.
Imagine being fired because of who you love. Imagine being denied medical treatment because of who you marry. Imagine being evicted because of who you are. Millions of Americans don't have to imagine this. They have to live it. Because in 31 states, it's legal to discriminate against LGBT people. Get the facts at beyondido.org. Brought to you by the Gill Foundation and the Ad Council.
I'm Jesse Pica-Holz with Solidarity Realty. If you're looking for a home in Madison or Dane County, call me. I know Madison. I know homes. I'll protect your best interests. Call Solidarity Realty at 608-284-9311 or search solidarityrealty.com.
It's hard to dream when you're fighting for 15. This is Pizza Box Mike for Wisconsin's Resistance Radio. Check out fightfor15.org to get involved in the fight for 15.
In this hot real estate market, don't pay 5 or 6% commission. With Homeowners Concept Realtors, you pay no more than 3.9% for full service. Homeowners Concept Realtors sell many more homes per year than the average agent. That's experience you can count on. If you're thinking of selling, call 414-258-7778 for an agent that specializes in your area for ideas on price, marketing, and staging your home. The more you know, you'll wisely choose Homeowners Concept 3.9% Realtors. HomeownersConcept.com.
Scott Walker thinks Wisconsin should once again hire him as governor.
You wouldn't hire me to be a neurosurgeon.
This is a person who has not worked in the private sector since 1993.
You wouldn't hire me to run condos. You wouldn't hire me to run HP.
And has made his political career.
You probably wouldn't hire me to run the United States Senate.
By using divisive tactics to the benefit of his corporate donors.
First step is we're going to deal with collective bargaining for all public employee unions. Because you divide and conquer.
Now he supports the largest publicly funded government subsidy of a foreign corporation in American history.
You know, they can go suck lemons.
And Scott Walker has yet to live up to his first campaign promise to create 250,000 jobs.
Is this a campaign promise, something you want to be held to?
Absolutely.
Scott Walker, we the people are done sucking your lemons. This message was paid for by the People for People Corporation. Donate online at p4ppc.org, p4ppc.org.
Hey everybody, I'm Darryl Ingram of News Talk 1510 WRRD, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio, and I am the Director of Advertising and Marketing. The pride of our independent stands runs deep in all that we do here at the station. The thing that I know for sure is that you can count on the quality and independent production of client advertising, mirroring the quality and independence of our fine programming here at News Talk 1510. To learn more, contact me at 414-335-0851 or via email at darryl@newstalk1510am.com.
For Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network, I'm Stu Daniels with your headlines. Wisconsin State Representative Leon Young has announced that he will not seek re-election. The former police officer was first elected to the State Assembly in 1992. He already filed paperwork to run for re-election, but was told 2 weeks ago by Milwaukee County Supervisor Supreme Moore Omakundi that he was planning to run for Young's seat. Representative Young said he plans to return to a job with the Milwaukee Police Department. And if you're looking for a way to cool the kids off this weekend, 2 of Milwaukee County Park's aquatic centers will be open for business. Cool Waters Family Aquatic Park in Greenfield Park in West Dallas will be open Saturday, Sunday, and Monday from 10 to 6. And the David F. Schultz Aquatic Center in Lincoln Park near 13th and Hampton will be open from noon to 6 on Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. You're listening to Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network.
The big and tall of political talk. Dom and Krutz are the Devil's Advocates.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates. I'm looking at the man's name, Darryl Ingram. Give me a break, everyone. It's a Thursday, but it feels like a Friday.
You got Darryl on the brain.
You're going to get best of both tomorrow and Monday, and apparently a second-rate effort for the rest of this big show. I want to thank our friend, former Packer Darryl Ingram, tight end, early 90s. You remember Darryl Ingram?
I do.
I do as well.
Yeah.
Remember him in college.
I don't remember back then, and this is really what surprises me, I guess, when we talk about this issue of the NFL and the players standing up during the national anthem, et cetera, is this wasn't always the case. This is a paid effort by
a paid advertisement for the U.S. military.
For the Department of Defense. So, I mean...
Hey, we're all about keeping the sponsors happy, right, Tom?
This is what I'm saying. And
let's not forget
the
this
NFL, in their meetings, in their unanimous decision to... put out these new rules without consulting the Players Association, the union, of course, that represents these players. Do you think there was any conversation about the advertiser?
Well, they looked at the Nielsen ratings. Football ratings down about 10% last year. Now, they claimed it was because players were protesting, but probably more likely it was some bad matchups. A few players got hurt. Let's not forget Aaron Rodgers out for a big stretch of the season.
Yeah, I didn't watch a few games for them. I mean, just not nearly as exciting.
It's not. And, perhaps some of the concussion headlines. I know my wife's seen a few things. That movie, thanks a lot, Will Smith. My kid still wants to play. Knock it off.
Play lacrosse.
Like there's no contact in lacrosse?
Not like football.
Yeah, well, if you do it right, you... cause the pain.
Listen,
you don't
come on. There's no.
You don't get the
it's
brain
not
damage.
Like
you cause
football.
the brain damage. Come on, man. 8 concussions. What harm was done to This fine mind.
My point exactly. Play lacrosse.
Dom, I got an article here. Donald Trump. He, of course, this is a midterm re-election issue. This is why we're talking about this. Donald Trump's got a few friends, let's call them, that are NFL owners. And Donald Trump's pushing this issue out there. I mean, Pence yesterday, the vice president, tweets out winning the social wars against the black people. What exactly are you winning, sir? Well, according to The Hill, John Bowden, Trump, I'll just read from the body of the piece. President Trump, not my president, suggested in an interview broadcast early Thursday that those who can't stand proudly during the national anthem should be in the country, after the NFL passed a rule banning kneeling during the Star-Spangled Banner. The president, during an interview with, wait for it, Dom, Foxy Friends,
of course,
touted the NFL's new rule, which bans on-the-field protests during the national anthem, and chided the league for allowing players to remain in the locker room. I think that's good. I don't think people should be staying in the locker rooms, but still, I think it's good. You have to stand proudly for the national anthem. Maybe they did before you were the president. You shouldn't be playing. You shouldn't be there. Maybe they shouldn't be in the country.
Where are you going to deport American citizens to, Trump?
Hey, you can deport me to Canada. I'm looking for an out. Anyways, team owners on Wednesday decided to allow NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell to impose appropriate discipline on league personnel who do not stand and show respect for the flag and the anthem.
Respect my authority.
Teams will be fined if players do not stand and show respect for the flag. As I mentioned, Dom, Vice President Pence reacted to the league's decision on Wednesday, calling it a victory for both NFL fans and NASCAR fans and the Trump administration. Today's decision at the NFL is a win for the fans, a win for at POTUS, and a win for America. Americans can once again come together around what unites us: our flag, our military, our national anthem. Thank you, NFL. Hashtag proud to stand, he tweeted. He didn't stand up at the Olympics, did he? I guess it's just disrespecting other countries' customs that he's all down with, right?
Crudy
made a big show out of not standing. For the Koreans, I believe. Maybe Pence is the one that screwed up the meeting on June 12th.
Nice. From the Raw story, NFL New York Jets owner says if any player takes a knee, he'll pay the fine. Christopher Johnson told his players, feel free to take a knee. The New York Jets co-owner says he disagrees with the NFL's new policy banning players from protesting police violence and killings of black people by kneeling during the national anthem. Wait, what? I thought this was protesting the military and the flag.
We hate the flag.
Here's what
sarcasm.
Christopher Johnson said.
Hashtag sarcasm.
I do not like imposing any club-specific rules. If somebody on the Jets takes a knee, that's fine. That fine will be borne by the organization, by me, not the players. I never want to put restrictions on the speech of our players, Johnson continued. Do I prefer that they stand? Of course. But I understand if they felt the need to protest. There are some big, complicated issues that we're all struggling with, and our players are on the front lines. I don't want to come down on them like a ton of bricks, and I won't. There will be no club fines or suspensions or any sort of repercussions. If the team gets fined, that's just something I'll have to bear. And one other thing, Crudy, you found this also, I believe it was on the Raw story. Former NFL player lays waste to the league's hypocrisy on the American flag. Former NFL quarterback Sage Rosenfels on Wednesday laid waste to them before saying regarding the players stand for the national anthem before the game.
I think you're being
in their locker room.
A little disrespectful to this article at the Raw story.
I know.
Right now.
I'm a little fired up, Crudy. This angers me because I see the righties out there. They're all, this is all about respect of the flag and the country and the anthem, and they totally miss the point.
Blue Lives Matter?
They totally miss the point. And I will say this, getting back to this piece, what's his name? Sage, I believe?
Rosenfeld.
Sage Rosenfeld. He tweeted out the U.S. flag code passed in 1942. So I looked it up. Let's think about this. Number one, all you righties out there, everyone who thinks that this is such a terrible issue, when the games start and they play the national anthem, do you get your ass off of the lazy boy? Do you get out of the recliner, off the couch, out of your bed and stand up? Do you get off your bar stool and stand up? Because if you don't, you're disrespecting the flag, right?
You know, I was literally at a high school, more accurately, a middle school play. My son, a fine actor, kid, great job. And in the play, it was about the first day of middle school. And they started doing the Pledge of Allegiance. And they made the audience get up during it. I think it was, just to keep the audience involved in the production. But I, as am typical, I'm wearing a hat. So here I am in the audience. I feel like I got to stand up and take off my hat. I did so.
Did you say the under God part, the one they added in fairly recently?
I don't recall that I was actually reciting it. I was just standing with a certain, respectful standiness.
844-967-2789. If you want to chime in, I would love to hear from some people. Do you stand up when you're at the bar? If you're on a bar stool or sitting in a booth, what do you do? What about every other sport and every other incident where they play the national anthem? Do you take your hat off? Do you engage? Do you live up to your standards? And if you don't, are you doing it because you're lazy? Are you doing it because you hate the anthem? Or are you doing it because you are trying to bring light and shine a light on the fact that African Americans are abused by police in this country and have been for hundreds of years?
You know what Glenn Grothman normally does during the national anthem?
What?
Calls upstairs. Ma, the meatloaf!
Damn! 844-967-2789. How about this, Crudy? Going back to the usflag.org. Respect for the flag. Here's just a couple of them.
As a patriot, I respect the flag.
Do you? Do you have any apparel, any clothes, any hats, any socks, any boxers with the flag emblem on it? Because that is disrespecting the flag.
I think I had a U.S. Open hat from Whistling Straits way back in the mid-2000s. I think that one sort of had a little skinny American flaggy looking thing on it. So apparently I do own an American flag piece of apparel, Dom. Much like Scott Walker hawks on his website.
Sage Rosenfeld tweeted out. Now, wasn't the Cowboys owner, Jerry Jones, wasn't he all up in arms about this last year? Well, I'm looking on the website right here. Not supposed to have any apparel? Well, he tweeted it out. There's the Cowboys number 4 with what? The American flag. Stars and stripes. Well, how dare they?
Prescott.
How dare they disrespect the flag? I mean, this is absolute hypocrisy. And here's the other one. Here's the big one, folks.
So you're saying the Dallas Cowboys literally incorporated the American flag in the numbers of the jerseys
that you can buy.
And then they had their players wear them because it's all about merchandising.
Oh, yeah. Merchandising over respect for the flag. This is in the code, Jerry. Here's one, Crudy. The flag should never be carried flat or horizontally. Now, what do they do during halftime? They get this huge flag. It covers damn near the entire field, and everyone's got a piece of it, and they're shaking it, and it's proud, and things
the only
are flying
time you
over.
ever see the flag displayed horizontally, about to be draped on a coffin of a dead service member.
And during opening ceremonies of an NFL game.
Or any Cleveland Browns game.
So here's the thing. Help me understand this, NFL. If your concern is that you want people to respect the flag, Roger Goodell, are you going to stop presenting the American flag horizontally during your ceremony, during opening before the kickoff? Are you going to pull all your merch?
Have a flagpole long enough to hold that flag asunder, up high.
That does not matter. They disrespect the flag. So I'm tired of the hypocrisy. And, of course, it's got nothing to do with the flag. It's got nothing to do with the anthem. It's about bringing light, shining a light on the injustices borne by way too many African Americans in this country. Let's get to some phone calls.
One more,
Yeah,
and then
go
we'll
ahead.
get to the phone calls. Don, wasn't there something else in there about the flag code? Never, ever, never using the flag for advertising, much like the NFL does at the bequest of the U.S. military.
The flag should never be used for advertising purposes in any manner whatsoever.
Gotcha!
It should not be embroidered on such articles as cushions or handkerchiefs and the like, printed or otherwise impressed on paper, napkins, or boxes, or anything that is designed for temporary use and discard. Advertising signs should not be fastened to a staff or halyard from which the flag is flown. So there you go. Now, think about all the 4th of July. Man, 4th of July, right? Everyone, we celebrate the 4th of July. You walk into any store. You got the napkins and the throwaway cups and the plastic paper plates with the flag all over it. We're going to start not selling those now? Are all you folks with your T-shirts and your bandanas and your beads going to stop wearing those now? Because if you're not, you're disrespecting the flag, and you're an absolute hypocrite for getting on anybody who would protest, not the flag, not the anthem, not the country, trying to protest to bring light to the fact that some in our country are abused at a much greater percentage than others.
Dominic,
by the police.
You kind of ranted right up through the call time. We'll come back. We'll get callers.
I'm sorry.
844-967-2789, perhaps to your advantage. Text us at that number. You never know when Dominic's going to go on a roll. Dom, we, as true patriots do, we have a flag here in studio.
We do.
Very durable plastic American flag with what is that? The staff, a hollow staff that was once full of gumballs. And it's now, here in the studio, it's now being held up by the Donald Trump toilet paper. And anyways.
Gumballs? Well, this seems like merchandise.
The staff was full of gumballs.
And food. That's disrespecting the flag.
But it's plastic. It's only the best quality petroleum materials. Koch brothers should be very proud.
And probably imported from China.
I'll check during the commercial break. It's the American thing to do. Come back with us. More Devil's Advocates. 844-967-2789. We'll get to the calls next. I promise.
Crying in baseball?
Just a bit outside.
Oh, wow, Mr. Sarcasm.
Do you own a rental property, or would you like to partner with a rental investment team? Call the pros you can trust at CCL Management. Rental expertise second to none, a general contractor on staff to direct repairs and improvements, and real estate brokerage services tailored to the small investor. If you're ready to invest in rental property, or just need professionals to manage your real estate portfolio, call us. CCL Management at 608-833-0009 or visit us on the web at cclmanagement.com.
I'm Andy Buck, and I'm proud to be union.
Tell me about the underground economy.
Well, the underground economy is essentially workers being exploited, and they're being exploited all over the state. They're working for no benefits, no retirement, and if you don't join your brothers and sisters, you don't respect your craft.
Andy, why should I hire union?
Crudy, you should hire union because you want the job done right the first time. We represent the highest skilled, safety-trained workers in the industries that we represent. Glazers, painters, and drywall finishers. Join us. Painters and Allied Trades, District Council 7.
You're not wired to have a response to this sound. But when we introduce a new stimulus, Save the Food, we're helping to stop food waste. Save the Food. For tips and recipes, visit savethefood.com. Brought to you by NRDC and the Ad Council.
180 over 111, and I had a stroke. I couldn't speak or walk.
This is high blood pressure. Get back on your plan. Go to loweryourhbp.org. Brought to you by the American Stroke Association, American Medical Association, and the Ad Council.
Live via phone, he is former U.S. Attorney Jim Santel.
Firing Bob Mueller doesn't mean that the prosecution, the investigation goes away. Pardoning one individual does not mean that you undo everything that has been done before. So this notion that somehow by shutting down and by pardoning and by sort of stopping the process, you're also stopping the wheels of justice is simply, again, it's simply wrong.
The Devil's Advocates, weekday afternoons on 1510 a.m. Wisconsin's Resistance Radio.
Hi, I'm Becky with Bounce Milwaukee, a progressive, local, family-owned entertainment center. We just want to remind you what it's like to be a kid again. Come on in for all ages fun. Bounce in our giant inflatables, race up the rock wall, dominate your friends in laser tag, or just relax in our bar or our massage chairs. Open 6 days a week with extended adult-only weekend hours. Find us at bouncemilwaukee.com.
Hey folks, sexy liberal Stephanie Miller here. Most new Wisconsin jobs are in Dane County, it's true. Some of my listeners are relocating to Madison. Many already commute there. When asked where to turn for a trusted real estate team that understands Madison, I say the same thing. Solidarity Realty. They help you through the process and protect your consumer rights. They live their values building community, promoting sustainability and diversity. Find them today at solidarityrealty.com and tell them Stephanie Miller sent you.
Have a drink at Regano's Roman Coin. This neighborhood corner tavern is as classic as the street it occupies. Family owned and operated since 1966, Regano's Roman Coin is located in a former Pabst Tide House on historic Brady Street, serving an array of craft beers with a focus on Wisconsin breweries. Also, weekly drink specials, trivia on Wednesdays, seasonal sporting events, parties hosted for all occasions, and pet friendly. Open 11 a.m. Tuesday through Friday, 10 a.m. Saturday and Sunday, closed on Monday. Regano's Roman Coin, Milwaukee's pet friendly, cash only order and classic corner tavern.
J.D. Davis Funeral Home, located at 4803 West Burlott Street, is dedicated, dignified, and distinguished in serving you in your time of need. Direct cremation specials starting at a very low cost of $595. That does not include cremation permit or crematory fee. Traditional funeral packages starting at $1,995 with a 20-gauge metal casket included. Title 19, Milwaukee County General Assistance accepted. Call today, 414-444-8300.
The Devil's Advocates, the fix for political junkies everywhere.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show on Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network. You can join us on the party line, talk or text at 866-2789.
You're kind of mailing it in also.
I'm a little fired up, man. I'm sorry.
You know, normally I'm respectful to all the audience members. Stand through their phone calls. Not today. Disrespected Dean.
Look at you sitting down.
I am sitting. As if I just didn't care.
Oh, how dare you.
How unpatriotic of me.
Hey, Dean, you are up. Thanks for calling. Happy Thursday. What do you got for us today?
Dean, I assure you Dominic's standing, but you can't tell.
Yeah, well, I don't know why you're not kneeling. When I call, I thought for sure you'd be kneeling.
Nice.
That's a whole different topic, Reverend Dean.
I don't kneel, Dean.
Well, first of all, I had one other point. Then the rant you went on is exactly what I love. That rant. I don't even do it in protest anymore. I do it because the ignorance of this stuff, of the people who claim to love the flag. There's a fine line between, my father was a World War II vet. We had to stand at every parade, every flag that came by. Memorial Day, he had veterans come over to hang a flag from his brother who was killed in the war. There was tremendous respect, but the line between respect for the flag and flag porn, right?
Nice.
Is when you idolize it. You idolize the flag itself without giving a crap about what it stands for, the people it stands for, right?
Not the people, not even that, Dean, but the ideals. And sometimes we don't live up to those ideals.
Like American fries.
Exactly. Well, let me just do one little historical point is the other thing of the institution of the anthem before a game and how haphazardly it was formed. A little history. Back in the early days, baseball has always had the seventh inning stretch. And the seventh inning stretch gave the musicians, the organists, whatever, time to play lots of music. During the war, there was a lot of people who requested the anthem during the seventh inning stretch for obvious reasons. But it got to be to a point where, they were like, we don't want to do this anymore. We want to play music. Let's just put it at the front of the game so that we can still play jazz or whatever at the seventh inning stretch, right? That's how it originated, that all sports teams now do the anthem before the game. It was not even unintentional. It was unintentional, and it was more like, we need to get this out of the way so we can do what we want.
Now they do God Bless America. Dean, literally, Dom and I just sang a verse or two right before this segment with you.
Awesome.
I kid you not. We were singing it loud until we both, at the very same part of the song, realized we didn't know the words.
Do we know the words of the anthem? Lots of people don't know that.
I understand it was written by Francis Scott Key, and some think that the anthem itself has its own racist overtones.
It's totally, because Francis Scott Key was pissed off about there were like 6,000 slaves that joined the British Army, and when they settled everything, one of the things was that England agreed to give back all property of the United States. they wouldn't give the 6,000 slaves back because they said they're not property, right? So that upset Francis Scott Key because Britain would not give back 6,000 slaves that joined them to fight because they said they're not property, they're human beings. And that's a lot of Jamaican and some of the islands that Britain owned. They settled them there in Canada. And so there's a very racist third phrase on that, referring to that fact.
Excellent history lesson, Dean. I'm glad someone read in high school.
844-967-2789. Mark, you are next. Thanks for calling. What do you think?
Yeah, I kind of got into this with Lisa, over, that I posted my last.
Lisa's a Russian troll. Don't feed the trolls.
They keep coming back if you feed them, Mark.
You have to confront them when they actually touch. I'm busy. It just doesn't end with her, and I've ended it now, I guess. But it just they don't understand. Like Dom said, this is principles we're supposed to be standing up for here. Our country is nothing if we don't stand up for our principles.
Right.
And it just is. And she may be a Russian troll, but I mean she gets pretty passionate about her troll. I don't know if she's gonna,
you offer her the wrong flag to salute, Mark.
Nice. Yeah, the hammer and sickle. I think they're really fond of.
Maybe I should have put the words for "Oh Canada" in there, but but I mean, and I've heard the point about it being, the pro-slavery element to the later verses of the national anthem. And as far as the Pledge of Allegiance, I mean, the original Pledge of Allegiance was written by a socialist minister, and is a lot simpler than what we currently do. And the under God part, my father, who was a veteran, he really kind of objected to the whole under God in there because he thought that was kind of along the line of public prayer.
Yep.
Which is not supposed to be the part of the Christian. What a Christian is supposed to do. You're supposed to do that kind of thing in private. And
Mark, got to cut you short. Thank you for the call. All the Canadian trolls around here keep trying to push us on Drake videos and Elsinore beer and watching the Maple Leafs.
Oh, yeah, there, hey?
Come back with us. Devil's Advocates, best show south of the Northern Wall. 844-967-2789. Your calls always.
I'm afraid right now for the future of my children's generation and those to come.
In this age of mass school shootings, Wisconsin Governor Scott Walker offers the same bold agenda of the National Rifle Association.
Make sure you remember in your thoughts and more importantly in your prayers.
While Walker offers platitudes, he blocks meaningful gun safety legislation.
It's really an honor to work with the NRA not only in my state but across the country. And I'm proud of my A+ ranking as a governor.
Walker weakened the gun laws in Wisconsin, and then he got $3.5 million worth of NRA support.
There have been men and women of courage who've been willing to stand up and think more about the future of their children and their grandchildren than they thought about their own futures.
Scott Walker, you are not one of them. This message was paid for by the People for People Corporation. Donate online at p4ppc.org, p4ppc.org.
Hello, friends. Tom Malanzi here from Teamsters Local 200. Here's a fact. United States Labor Department statistics show union workers receive, on average, 30% more in pay and benefits than non-union workers doing the same job. If you're a worker interested in receiving better wages and benefits and respect at your workplace, give Teamsters Local 200 a call at 414-771-6363 and ask to speak to a Teamsters Local 200 organizer today.
I got to tell you, so when I first moved to Green Bay to play football in '92, I had never been to Wisconsin. But the funniest thing I thought, you could not buy hamburger patties without a dollop of butter on them.
Folks, just so you know, if you take a little bit of herb butter and put it in the middle of a patty and just kind of mold it around there, you get magic.
I have one of my arteries right now.
How much did you say you weighed?
I'm gaining weight with my thoughts right now.
You're $3 bills and some change already, brother.
Guns, butter, economics.
414 Wisconsin, weekdays 2 to 3 p.m. on Wisconsin's Resistance Radio.
You are listening to 1510 AM WRRD Waukesha, Milwaukee, and 1580 AM WTTN Columbus, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network.
A summit scuttled, FBI questions answered. I'm Mike Moss.
President Trump has canceled his summit with North Korea's Kim Jong-un. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo says Un's recent threats doomed the meeting, as well as the North's failure to show up for a summit prep session.
I regret the statements that the North Koreans have made over the past few days, and the fact that we've not been able to conduct the preparation between our two teams that would be necessary to have a chance for a successful summit.
Briefings today for select members of the House on whether the FBI planted someone inside the Trump campaign. Democrat Adam Schiff attended the second meeting.
Today's Gang of Eight briefing was conducted to ensure protection of sources and methods. Nothing we heard today has changed our view that there is no evidence to support any allegation that the FBI or any intelligence agency placed a spy in the Trump campaign or otherwise failed to follow appropriate procedures and protocols.
A White House lawyer was among the officials showing up for those classified briefings.
Raising eyebrows immediately, the appearance of President Trump's White House attorney dealing with the Russia investigation, Emmett Flood, at the start of the Department of Justice briefings, not only at the department but also on Capitol Hill for legislative leaders. He was alongside White House Chief of Staff John Kelly, who arranged the meetings but was not supposed to sit in on the classified briefings. A White House statement says the two were simply there to make opening remarks about the president's desire for openness in the process. Speaker of the House Paul Ryan, who was supposed to attend the first session, issued a statement applauding the Intelligence Committee getting the cooperation it has requested. Bob Costantini, Washington.
An apology from actor Morgan Freeman after 8 women charged him with inappropriate behavior. And disgraced movie producer Harvey Weinstein could turn himself into New York police as early as tomorrow to face charges of sexual misconduct. The Dow down 76. I'm Mike.
In this hot real estate market, don't pay 5 or 6% commission. With Homeowners Concept Realtors, you pay no more than 3.9% for full service. Homeowners Concept Realtors sell many more homes per year than the average agent. That's experience you can count on. If you're thinking of selling, call 414-258-7778 for an agent that specializes in your area for ideas on price, marketing, and staging your home. The more you know, you'll wisely choose Homeowners Concept 3.9% Realtors. HomeownersConcept.com.
Why was the basketball court all wet? Because the players kept dribbling on it.
The dad joke. Corny, groan-worthy, but also one of the simplest ways to share a moment with your kids.
What did the buffalo say when he dropped his son off at school? Bye, son.
So take a moment to make your kid laugh, because dad jokes rule. Make your kid laugh today. Go to fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Urged by Sylvester Stallone, President Trump has officially pardoned boxer Jack Johnson.
The rare posthumous act by the president comes more than 100 years after Johnson was convicted in 1913 by an all-white jury for violating the Mann Act after he took his white girlfriend across state lines, an act that was deemed at the time to be immoral.
I am taking this very righteous step, I believe, to correct a wrong.
Actor Sylvester Stallone was in the Oval Office for the announcement. He's been pushing for Johnson to be granted clemency for years.
I've been so blessed with the Rocky situation and playing that character. And actually, when I was writing it, I'm thinking about inspirations for this Apollo Creed, and that was Jack Johnson.
John Stolnis, Washington.
Texas Governor Greg Abbott is meeting with survivors of last week's mass shooting at a high school in Santa Fe and a similar attack that was at a rural Texas church. This is the governor's third such meeting this week. I'm Mike Moore.
My name is Lola Silvestri, and I'm going to be 95 this year. I was very independent. I fell, and I had to have Meals on Wheels. America, let's do lunch.
1 in 6 seniors faces the threat of hunger, and millions more live in isolation. Drop off a hot meal and say a quick hello. Volunteer for Meals on Wheels by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org. This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
I'm State Representative Jocasta Zamaripa.
And I'm Joel Clayfish.
Listen to us on the Joel and Jocasta Show, Saturdays at 3 p.m.
She's a Latina woman from the inner city of Milwaukee, and I'm a white guy from the suburbs. Diversity in the white guy. You are not going to believe what you hear on this show. I'm telling you, you're going to have to listen. News Talk, 1510 a.m., WRRD.
Wisconsin's Resistance Radio.
For Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network, I'm Stu Daniels with your headlines. Americans for Prosperity, the conservative group funded by the Koch brothers, has announced it will be running an ad campaign for Republican Congressman Glenn Grothman. The congressman is seeking his third term for Wisconsin's 6th congressional district, which covers suburban and rural areas north and west of Milwaukee. Democrat Dan Cole of Mequon is expected to face Grothman in the general election in November. And attorneys for Arrowhead High School have filed a motion seeking to dismiss a lawsuit brought by a student who was suspended from the soccer team for having a party where underage students were drinking alcohol. The attorneys say the complaint is baseless. The student says her civil rights were violated and says she did not possess, consume, or supply any alcohol at the party. You're listening to Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network.
The following program is a presentation of DC Communications, LLC. Warning, you are about to listen to the greatest radio show ever. And due to contractual obligations and to shield our airwaves corporate licensees from any semblance of liability, responsibility, and gullibility, we must tell you the views represented on this show are not necessarily those of this station or its management. This radio show contains differing points of view on current political topics, and due to the nature of its contents, it should be heard by everyone. Thank you for listening.
3, 2, 1.
Now live from the heart of liberal Wisconsin, where the political party is just beginning, welcome to the Devil's Advocate Show. Best friends proving it's never personal, only politics.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
Now here are your hosts, Dom and Crute.
Welcome back. Hour 2 of the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. Dom, sometimes the toughest decisions to make are not just what we do talk about.
It's what we don't talk about.
What I refrain from talking about on the air. Some people think I have no filter. I am filtering right now. Dom, let's turn the topic to Donald Trump.
Who?
Trump.
Oh, that guy.
You know,
the Patriot Trump?
Well, he wrote himself a little Dear Kim letter today. Sort of a breakup.
What? So I hope they kept the receipt on the Nobel Prize because
he ain't going to get one.
We're pulling out?
Let me read the Dear Kim letter. From the White House, Washington, May 24, 2018. His Excellency, Kim Jong-un, Chairman of State Affairs Commission of the Democratic People's Republic of Korea. Dear Mr. Chairman, we greatly appreciate your time, patience, and effort with respect to our negotiations and discussions relative to a summit long sought by both parties, which was scheduled to take place on June 12th in Singapore. That would have been Crudy's birthday.
Oh, happy birthday, Mike.
Well, you know, it just freed up a little bit, apparently, Dom.
Not going to Singapore.
We were informed that the meeting was requested by North Korea, but that, to us, is totally irrelevant. Then why bring it up? Apparently, this dictated by Donald Trump to John Bolton.
So these are Trump's actual dictated words.
That's being claimed in the press reports, Dom. I was very much looking forward to being there with you. Sadly, based on the tremendous anger and open hostility displayed in your most recent statement, I feel it inappropriate at this time to have this long-planned meeting. Therefore, please let this letter serve to represent that the Singapore summit, for the good of both parties, but to the detriment of the world, will not take place.
What does that mean?
To the detriment of the world. Even the Russians are bashing Trump. First the Iranian deal, and then this. Literally, the Russians are bashing Trump today. I thought they were all on the same team, but I read on. You talk about nuclear capabilities, but ours are so massive and powerful that I pray to God they will never have to be used. I felt a wonderful dialogue was building up between you and me, and ultimately, it is only that dialogue that matters. Hey, easy on the selfie over there. Someday, I look very much forward to meeting you. In the meantime, I want to thank you for the release of the hostages who are now home with their families. That was a beautiful gesture. It was very much appreciated. If you change your mind having to do with this most important summit, please do not hesitate to call me or write. The world, and North Korea in particular, has lost a great opportunity for lasting peace and great prosperity and wealth. This missed opportunity is a truly #sad moment in history. Sincerely yours, Donald J. Trump, President of the United States.
Dear Rocket Man.
Little Rocket Man.
Dear little Rocket Man. This, I do believe the reports that this was dictated because this is Trump just rambling. I mean, he brings
a lot of commas, a lot of sentences kind of commaed together there, Dom.
Where is it? But I'm trying to find the fact. We're informed that this was requested by North Korea, but that to us is totally irrelevant. What? Okay. Thank you. And then this one. Therefore, please let this letter serve to represent that the Singapore summit, for the good of both parties but to the detriment of the world, will not take place.
Do you think Trump ever used the word detriment in his life? I'm not clear that this is a dictated letter. This seems like someone took Trump's ramblings and kind of paraphrased him with a thesaurus. Tried to smarten him up a little bit because he looked probably pretty dumb in the actual dictated text.
But I'm unclear here. So if you take out, the commas thing, I'm trying to break this sentence down. I remember some English class back in high school with Mr. Oudenhoven. Therefore, please let this letter serve to represent.
Put away your dangling participle over there, Sylvia.
Therefore, let this letter serve to represent that the Singapore summit, and we'll skip over, the Singapore summit will not take place. But in between there, he throws in, for the good of both parties, but to the detriment of the world. So how is he saying that the fact that the summit will not take place is good for both parties, i.e. good for America and good for North Korea?
But to the detriment of the world.
So why is it good for both parties that we don't have a summit?
Because he wrote a Dear Kim letter and said, wedding's off.
But then he goes on to say he's the one canceling it, but then he says, if you change your mind having to do with this most important summit, the one that he just canceled for the benefit of both parties.
Which seems to imply that perhaps he's not the cancelee, more like the canceled upon.
I'm sorry, Kim Jong-un had to wash his hair that day. It doesn't make sense. I'm just saying. It's a rambling letter.
At first, I thought you were just, attacking the president's grammar. I'm thinking that's a wasted exercise because those that would care don't support the president, and those that, of course, don't care can't speak grammatically themselves. But you do make a fine point there in the final paragraph, Dom. If you change your mind having to do with this most important summit, please do not hesitate to booty call me or write. I mean, it seems like, like the girl that wants you just a little too much. Like, we were going on that date, right? You were going to call me and...
Call me.
Kuchka got it right. Kuchka on Twitter this morning. Not to us, but I noticed you on the Twitter stream, Kuchka. Something like, call me maybe?
The Post has an article on this. Here's a couple of quotes from the piece. Speaking later at the White House, of course, this is the Dear Kim letter. Speaking later at the White House, Trump sounded a bellicose note, relaying that the U.S. military is ready, if necessary, to take action against North Korea if it engages in a foolish or reckless act, and that South Korea and Japan are willing to shoulder the cost.
Either come back to me or I'll slap you, bitch.
Now,
it's like a...
Was South Korea aware of this?
No, apparently not at the time of the drafting and delivery of this letter to Chairman Kim Jong-un, Dom. Apparently at that time they were unaware, the South Koreans. I think they also feel a little scorned.
At the same time, Trump held open the possibility that he and Kim could meet at a later date to discuss denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula, which Trump has been pushing. And here's a quote. While many things can happen and a great opportunity lies ahead potentially, I believe that this is a tremendous setback for North Korea and indeed a setback for the world. Now, in his letter, though, he says that this is certainly a setback for the world, but, and here's the quote, it was good for both parties, the cancellation, for the good of both parties, but to the detriment of the world. So now it's for the good of the United States and to the detriment of the world and North Korea. He can't even keep...
Are you attacking him for inconsistency, Dom?
He's very inconsistent in his diplomacy. Now,
I concur.
Perhaps this is just, crazy like a fox, man. This is the art of the deal. Never let him see you coming. Don't be too aggressive. Don't let men think like you want it too much. All the girls, they like the bad boys, right?
The one that doesn't call him back.
Yeah,
That's why they all liked you.
It
couldn't be the stature.
844-967-2789. It's not the stature. It's not the height. It's the moxie, man.
Oh, they're going to say the girth.
Jeez. Let's take a break before we get to perhaps some callers. Anyone got a thought on this? Mike from Grafton? No, let's take Mike. Hang on. You haven't played the music yet. That means we're going to take Mike from Grafton. Hey, Mike, welcome to the show. What do you think?
Good afternoon, gentlemen. Always entertaining to hear you. Hey, I've got two questions. Number one, your station and Mr. Earl Ingram in particular was playing Everybody Plays the Fool a week and a half ago when Kim Jong-un first started to pull out of the negotiation. Is there any chance in your mind that maybe Mr. Trump's action today could actually be the appropriate strategic move? In other words...
Never crossed my mind, Michael. I have no thought. I mean, I don't mean to be so cynical, but, I'm well beyond thinking Trump's playing three-level chess. I think it's just random haphazardness at this point, sir.
Okay. Very good. Then I have two other questions for you. Number two, is there any chance in your mind that the Obama administration and the deep state actually did violate the civil liberties of Americans, and that the biggest issue of our time is protecting the privacy rights of American citizens as exemplified by the invasion of the Trump campaign? Or are you guys so bought in to the Democratic narrative? And by the way, it's not the Democratic or liberal narrative. You guys should really be calling yourself in your advertising Wisconsin's lefty radio station, not liberal, because you're not liberals, you're lefties. Is there any chance in your mind that there is possible truth to the accusations that the left, that
0%, Mike,
leveling against the left?
Perhaps NSA, perhaps in that all of our data is being collected. I would readily agree with you, but this Spygate is Liegate, man. There is no way, there is not a shred of credible evidence that the Obama administration put an FBI spy into Trump's administration. By his own administration's admission, Mike, the professor wasn't part of his campaign team. Okay. You can't have it both ways, sir.
No, wait, Mike, I want you to, if you would please, address Mike's statement here about this professor. If what he is saying and Trump himself has said, how do you state that this is somehow a spy put in by the previous administration?
Dom, I don't know, because we don't have all the facts. I'm just asking you if it's a possibility.
Well, sure. And here's what I would say. Brennan, listen, I'm down, man. I saw it and we talked about this back when we were on the air in Madison, and Brennan gave his testimony and lied about dragging all of our data, dude. I mean, he lied right to us. Right. He knew he was lying when he lied, and we knew when Snowden released all that stuff, we knew he was lying. So, no, I'm down. I get that. And as we speak right now, I fully believe everything's getting dragged and stored. That now I have no proof of that, but I know what was said then. I know what the technological capabilities are. Maybe, multiply that times 10 or 1,000, and maybe that's what the reality is. But no, I do not believe that there was some sort of administration, Obama effort to somehow entrap Trump. I think Trump is his own worst enemy. Trump is a corrupt human being, Mike. I don't doubt that for one single minute.
You're confusing two issues. That may or may not be true, but I'll make you guys a wager. If any high-level Obama administration official either pleads guilty or gets convicted of a felony, or if it turns out that the Obama administration did, in fact, spy on the opposition party, then you guys give me 1 hour on your radio station to debate you about the merits of American civil liberties.
Well, but Mike, I got to ask you though. I mean, when you say spy, if there is a reason, if there is some evidence that Trump was doing something illegal, we don't know what happened yet, shouldn't there be some sort of effort, some investigation in order to find out what's going on? Do you think that is the role of law enforcement?
If Trump was doing something illegal and in collusion with the Russians, then I'll give you guys 1 hour on my radio. Okay? It's a deal.
All right, man. That's the deal, Mike. We'll take you up on it. We accept your offer, sir.
I think we've had 22 indictments, 5 convictions of Trump administration officials to date. I think that number's going to climb rapidly. And Lefty Radio, I can accept that moniker. I don't see that as a bad thing.
What's the difference between lefty and liberal? I guess I'm unclear.
I'm not clear either. I would just call us super cool radio. We even take calls like Mike from Grafton.
Anytime, Mike.
Hey, we don't screen them here. 844-967-2789. I just tell you, sometimes you righties, you're just wrong.
Hey, you want to get high, man?
I don't know what I said. I don't remember.
On marijuana, unfortunately, as a public health issue and a public safety issue, I've opposed that.
Dr. Sanjay Gupta, how can medical marijuana help those addicted to opioids?
There's 3 big things. There's clear consensus now that cannabis can treat pain. That is not an opinion. That is a consensus conclusion by big scientific bodies like the National Academy of Science. We also know that it can help treat the withdrawal symptoms of opioids. People, they don't want to be on enemy anymore. They want to quit, but they develop the terrible withdrawal symptoms. And now we have evidence that it can actually help heal the part of the brain that is diseased in someone who's an opioid addict. If you had to start from scratch and design a substance to help lead us out of the opioid epidemic, like in a lab, it would probably look very much like cannabis.
Call Governor Scott Walker at 608-266-1212. Tell him good people do smoke marijuana. This message was paid for by the People for People Corporation. Donate online at p4ppc.org, p4ppc.org.
Do you own a rental property, or would you like to partner with a rental investment team? Call the pros you can trust at CCL Management. Rental expertise second to none, a general contractor on staff to direct repairs and improvements, and real estate brokerage services tailored to the small investor. If you're ready to invest in rental property or just need professionals to manage your real estate portfolio, call us, CCL Management, at 608-833-0009 or visit us on the web at cclmanagement.com.
Every hiring manager knows that a company is only as good as the people it's made from. So where do you find the best people? That may surprise you.
Meet the grads of life. Young adults of unique determination and experience. An ideal fit for your company in an entry-level position, internship, or even mentorship. They might not have every qualification you typically look for, but they're exactly who your company needs.
This is talent worth knowing about.
Go to gradsoflife.org to learn how to find, cultivate, and train this great pool of untapped talent. Brought to you by the Ad Council and gradsoflife.org.
Hey folks, sexy liberal Stephanie Miller here. Most new Wisconsin jobs are in Dane County, it's true. Some of my listeners are relocating to Madison. Many already commute there. When asked where to turn for a trusted real estate team that understands Madison, I say the same thing. Solidarity Realty. They help you through the process and protect your consumer rights. They live their values building community, promoting sustainability and diversity. Find them today at solidarityrealty.com and tell them Stephanie Miller sent you.
Businesses today thrive and survive with technology. At Five Nines, we provide businesses with the IT tools they need to stay relevant. We offer enterprise-level solutions at competitive prices. I'm Todd Stryker, President and CEO of Five Nines. Let us manage your IT so you can focus on more important things, like running your business. Check us out at fivenines.com. That's the number 5, NINES.com.
Steven.
Who said that?
Me, down here.
Ugh, what are you, a yellow booger?
I'm a banana slug, Steven.
What are you doing in my room?
I'm your sense of adventure. It's been a long time since we've had an adventure in the forest.
Mom took me to the forest last year.
I'm a slug, Steven. It took me a long time to get here.
You're right. I should get out.
Yeah, the forest is not that far away.
Hey, Mom!
Come to the forest where the more adventurous you lives. Check out discovertheforest.org for cool places nearby. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
The Devil's Advocates, rock and roll political commentary in a top 40 world.
Do, re, mi. The first 3 notes just happen to
Terrible.
So when need to pulling down.
I can see listeners dropping off. Let's get some callers before we lose everybody. Betsy from Madison, you're up.
That will bring us back to do.
Terrible.
Hey, at least we didn't do Edelweiss.
the Devil's Advocates, because it's always 420 somewhere.
And we are back from the 420 break. Thank you so much for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show on Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network, streaming on our YouTube and Facebook pages. You can hit us up on Twitter at Devil Radio, and the party line to talk or text 844-967-2789.
And today, we celebrate the 80th birthday of an icon, Tommy Chong.
80 years old. That is unbelievable to me.
Don't tell me stoners don't have longevity.
Right?
Both Cheech and Chong alive and kicking, Dom.
Article found this on the AP. John Rogers, stoner comedy pioneer Tommy Chong, still joking at 80 years old. Yeah, man, Tommy Chong says he always knew he'd live to see the day marijuana legalization would be sweeping America.
I got a joint here, man. I've been saving for a special occasion.
He knew when he and partner Cheech Marin pioneered stoner comedy 50 years ago, a time when taunting the establishment with constant reminders that they didn't just play hippie potheads in the movies, they really were those guys, could have landed them in prison.
Talk it out, man. Kind of grabs you by the boo-boo, don't it?
He even knew in 2003 when Chong was in prison for 9 months for conspiring to distribute handcrafted artisanal bongs the government declared drug paraphernalia.
Mostly Maui Wowie, man. Yeah? But it's got some Labrador in it.
Oh, yeah, I saw it coming, he says, of cannabis being legal in some form in about 2/3 of his adopted country's 50 states.
Ooh, you know, I'm going to hit the pause button right there.
In fact, I kind of planned the whole thing out, he jokes. Well, maybe I was a little premature with that bong thing, but other than that, I was pretty much right on point.
Hey, you want to get high, man?
Absolutely I do, Tommy Chong. Happy birthday to you, young man. 80.
80.
Happy years old. And Dom, to celebrate this iconic occasion, Milwaukee County Board approves marijuana legalization referendum on November election ballot. Dom, I would say you played some small part, emphasis on the small.
I did testify.
You did testify. Dom, a county board approved measure by a 15-1 vote. Patty,
to
1 square. Patty Logsdon.
Come on,
voted
Patty.
against the referendum.
Patty.
This will be good for voter turnout right here in the great state of great state of Wisconsin, city of Milwaukee, going on the Milwaukee County ballot.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I'm excited. It's about time it should be legal.
Do you favor legalization, regulation, and taxation of marijuana? And the answer, of course, the only acceptable answer, hell yes!
Do you favor 16,000 jobs and $2 billion over 10 years without having to go to the taxpayer's pocket to get that industry?
And perhaps even a solution in part to the opioid epidemic right here in the state of Wisconsin.
Win, win, win.
Happy birthday, Tommy Chong. Come back with us, more Devil's Advocates. Michael Cummins, a contributor to the Isthmus, his newest Toss Voss.
Man, do I love card night. You ready, boys? You got a king?
Go, fish dad.
Oh, come on. This is WWE superstar Titus O'Neil. It only takes a moment to make a moment. Take time to be a dad today. Learn more at 877-4DAD-411 or visit fatherhood.gov.
Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Dad, this is fun. I didn't think I liked kayaking.
Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it, but I think it's time to head back in.
Okay. Can we come back?
Sure. Hey, be careful getting out of the boat.
It's a kayak, Dad.
I'm gonna return the kayak.
Can we walk home?
How about a taxi?
It's a short fare from your neighborhood to your naturehood. Visit discovertheforest.org to find a neighborhood park or green space near you. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the U.S. Forest Service. The bridge is out, and there are scat holes everywhere. Come on.
What's wrong with you? Listen to Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network.
Join the resistance against dirty carpets. Call Zero Res Madison today for our summer special. Clean and sanitize 3 rooms for only $139. Call 608-848-9000 or schedule online at zeroresmadison.com. Zero Res, spell it forward or backward, it's the right way to clean.
Only in the forest can you see this. And this. And this. But nothing beats the moment you see that.
Cool!
That's your child's eyes opening up to a world of possibilities.
I didn't know it could do that!
Because one trip to the forest can spark a world of difference.
There are some moments only the forest can inspire. Find yours at discovertheforest.org. Learn about forests near you and discover cool things to do when you go, like hiking, canoeing, fishing, or camping. Or create your own adventure with family and friends, and you might just see this. Your moment's out there. Find it at discovertheforest.org. That's discovertheforest.org.
Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
I'm Jesse Pikeholz with Solidarity Realty. If you're looking for a home in Madison or Dane County, call me. I know Madison. I know homes. I'll protect your best interests. Call Solidarity Realty at 608-284-9311 or search solidarityrealty.com.
The Devil's Advocates.
Tom Perez, chair of the Democratic National Committee. Scott Walker went on something of a Twitter storm, very Trumpian. What do you think this foretells for Scott Walker's future as the governor of the state of Wisconsin?
Wisconsinites have woken up. He talked about we need an optimistic message. How can you make people feel optimistic when you take away their health care? How can you make people optimistic when you take away the right to bargain? How can you make people feel optimistic when you're gerrymandering the heck out of districts?
Radio for the 99%.
For Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network, I'm Stu Daniels with your headlines. Environmental groups are raising concerns about the first petroleum shipments to leave the port of Milwaukee in more than a decade. The port is home to a newly refurbished liquid cargo pier that could boost petroleum shipments significantly. The pier recently underwent a $3.6 million upgrade, with $2.9 million coming from the state. Environmental groups are also concerned about the possibility of a plant to convert tires into energy at the pier. And the Brewers are off to their best start after 50 games in the club's history. They swept the Diamondbacks with a win yesterday, 9-2. They are now 31-19 and in first place, 3 games ahead of the second-place Pirates. The Crew starts a 4-game series with the Mets tonight at Miller Park. You're listening to Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network.
Wreaking havoc on America, just like they wreaked havoc on Wisconsin. Dom and Krutz are the Devil's Advocates.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. Dominic, we welcome back a fine guest right now, author of a new op-ed that published at the Isthmus. It is entitled Time to Toss Voss. The subheadline, the Republican Assembly Speaker is unfit for office. Welcome back, our friend Michael Cummins from the Isthmus. Michael, how you been, man?
Great. How have you guys been?
Awesome.
Well,
Thanks,
I know
man.
how you've been, Crudy. Been keeping up with your governor escapade. But,
well, they've already ended prematurely, much like
I know.
Much like the presidential escapades of Scott Walker. Apparently, I'm more premature than he, but I didn't have 90 grand a day to burn through. Michael, I think we first met you, or if memory serves, you were at the Winkin' Lizard outside the RNC in Cleveland. You broadcast there with us that day. You were something of a never-Trumper, but you do consider yourself a conservative. Let me ask you, do you remember seeing Jeff Sessions at any of the restaurant tables with a corpulent guy named Sergey?
Oh, at the Winkin' Lizard?
I think I saw some collusion there that weekend. In retrospect, Michael,
happened right in front of our eyes. I don't even know if Jeff Sessions was there for the RNC. I don't think Jeff Sessions thought he had much of a future in the Trump. I don't think he thought there was going to be a Trump administration. But listen, Jeff Sessions has already lied once about at least once in front of the Senate about meeting with Russian officials. And then had to kind of dial that back, as at least 6 other members of the Trump administration or members of the Trump campaign have done. However, nothing to see here. Move along, right?
Michael, let's talk about the state of Wisconsin, the great state you and I both share. You talked about going to the Republican Party convention right here in Milwaukee not so long ago. And at that time, Brad Schimmel, Rebecca Clayfish, Scott Walker, they're all warning of the blue wave to come. But Dominic's buddy, Robin Voss, well, he had a totally different attitude. What did you observe of the Speaker of our Assembly?
Oh, the what me worry speech? Yeah. I just, that's fine. Look, I love optimism. I know that there's a place for optimism in politics. However, right now, among Republicans, the obvious smart thing to do is to try to scare the pants off the activists. I mean, what they fear more than anything is, understandably, a Democratic takeover of the Wisconsin state government. If you make them scared, you're going to get them to work. If you tell them everything's going to be fine, they have better things to do. It seemed like a very foolish tactic on his part, and especially galling, I would think, were I part of the Wisconsin state Republican leadership, in that if anyone is going to be to blame for a blue wave smashing into the Capitol this fall, it's going to be Robin Voss. So I thought it a little bit ironic that he was the one who was telling everyone not to worry, when he really should be the one to worry more than anyone, in my opinion.
Yeah, but we looked at his prior electoral history. Most recently, won re-election like 65 to 35 over Andy Mitchell. What he meant to say is, my seat's safe.
Oh, right, yeah. Well, his seat is safe. Unfortunately, I would love to have seen a big Republican primary challenge on him. His seat is safe, but how long do you think he's going to want to stay in the Assembly if he's suddenly minority leader? And honestly, do you really think he'll even be minority leader if the Republicans lose control of the Assembly? I strongly doubt it.
Right? Wouldn't he be part?
Term is going to be very fun.
Yeah, wouldn't he be part of the cause of the loss, being the leader now?
I think he would be the greatest part of the cause of the loss. Just what has happened with him in the past year, the scandals, nothing huge. None of this stuff is Watergate. However, the drip, drip, drip of seeing Robin Voss in the news every couple months doing something embarrassing, doing something sleazy looking, doing something funny looking. Robin Voss is not Donald Trump. He cannot get away with this stuff like Donald Trump can. Only Donald Trump can get away with being sleazy and underhanded and all that. No one else can. Robin Voss will not, and it's very possible that if the Republican leadership lets him stay as Assembly Speaker through November, they're going to lose because of him.
Well, Michael, I would assert that Scott Walker's gotten away with some sleazy corruption himself, but that's a different topic for a different day, sir.
Folks, you're listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Michael Cummins, he's a business analyst and contributor to the Isthmus. He joins us on the phone. He wrote a piece, Time to Toss Voss. Michael, you speak of some of the things, activities that Speaker Voss has engaged in here in the last several months. It's come out that he's been on some travel junkets. What do you know? What do you consider sleazy about this behavior?
Well, I don't think that per se an Assembly Speaker traveling on its own is anything that's so horrible. With him, the big thing that happened is he went on this 5-star junket to London, where there was a champagne bus tour. It was a 5-star hotel, and the people who paid for it, who largely paid for it, sent 2 lobbyists, a company called LoanMax, one of those very highly reputable, 300% interest auto title loan companies that we have here in Wisconsin, because of Robin Voss, by the way. He's responsible for letting them in to Wisconsin in the first place. And those lobbyists were on the trip with him. So this is how it appears. He had this this trip to London that any of us would kill for, right? It was paid for largely by this company called LoanMax. And what do you know? Who are a couple of his travel companions? Why, lobbyists from LoanMax. It doesn't look good. It's very, very swampy, very, very swampy. I think he's definitely proved himself to be a swamp thing right here in Madison.
Michael, is there some sort of? I mean, I agree with you, man. I mean, any politician that's is getting free trips is a strange thing to me. I don't think that they're necessarily representing their constituency when they're taking these kinds of perks, let's call them. Is there a dollar amount that's too much? I mean, how do we gauge whether or not these are proper or improper, or whether or not they have an undue influence, or they are a reward for previous behavior?
Well, I would say any appearance of impropriety is some. We've gotten so used to Dom. We've gotten so used to appearances of impropriety from politicians that we sometimes don't even pay attention to them. It takes something like this, where there are lobbyists literally with him, for it to kind of hit home. Like, well, wait a second. There's no way that that's not going to influence him, especially given all the goodies that he's given out to the auto title loan industry here in Wisconsin. As for dollar amount, I'm not the one to say what the dollar amount is. I do, however, think that voters in Wisconsin, they know something stinky when they smell it. And that's mainly my thing. I don't know what went on in this trip. My thing is, he's an electoral liability to Republicans at this point. This does not look good when people see it in the press. There are a lot of voters out there who had no idea who Robin Voss was 1 year ago. They know who Robin Voss is now, and it's not for a good reason.
Michael, one of Voss's companions, I guess, colleagues, I don't know how to put it, Ohio House Speaker Cliff Rosenberger resigned in April. The FBI is investigating his extensive international travel. The London trip is reportedly among the chief concerns here. Now, was that the same trip? Did he go on Voss on that trip?
That is the same trip, yes.
Okay, so the Speaker of Ohio is investigated for his travel by the FBI, but the Speaker of Wisconsin is not investigated for his travel by the FBI. Perhaps there's more to it than that, but it seems like, well, if this is the kind of person that the Speaker of the House of Wisconsin is palling around with, perhaps there's more to the story. Do you have any insight or thoughts on the relationship there?
Well, I can tell you this about the relationship. These two had this just amazing, I couldn't believe it when I saw it, this jet-setting bromance that's gone on for the last 2 years. At least 3 international junkets together that we know of. There could have been more. The Dayton Daily News dug up on social media, on Cliff Rosenberger's social media, pictures of those two together in at least 6 different states here in America. From 2016 to 2017. Who even knows how many trips these two went on together? Again, I don't know that anything that we don't really know what exactly Rosenberger is being investigated for. However, it was enough to make him hightail it out of the Ohio Assembly. Okay, not the Speaker. I mean, he resigned completely. He said he was going to resign May 1st. The next day or the day after that, he said, "I'm just going to resign right now." So It's something potentially bad. To me, mostly what I'm talking about is optics. If you're a smart politician and you haven't gotten to the point where you're arrogant, where the swamp has completely overtaken you, you make sure this kind of thing doesn't happen to you. I think Robin Voss is beyond caring. I think that he thinks he can just get away with it. I think he's wrong.
Well, maybe he's right, though, Michael. I mean, his reaction towards the Milwaukee Bucks, the owners of the Milwaukee Bucks back in 2014, you make a note of this in your piece. Was that a threatening reaction? How do you describe how he went about the negotiations and discussions about the Bucks arena?
Well, I think that I don't know that it was a threat, actually, interestingly, directly to the owners of the Milwaukee Bucks. When he was talking about, you're coming to us for subsidies, and yet you donate to Democrats. I think that it was always pretty clear that the owners of the Milwaukee Bucks were going to get subsidies from the state. At least that's my memory of it. I never had any doubt that was going to happen. I don't think Voss had much doubt either. What that was a shot across the bow. It was basically a threat to other businesses in the state, letting them know, we are watching you. If you donate to Democrats, don't expect good treatment from us, Republicans who control state government. That's not only ethically horrible, That's also actually illegal to do that. And to me, it seemed very clear watching that clip of the interview from Mike Goucher's show that's exactly what Robin Voss did back in 2014.
You know, I got tuned up by Peter Barca one time for asking a question about log rolling. Very same topic. It was the Bucks arena. Our friend Michael Cummins, live on the phone. He's from the Isthmus. He's submitted a new piece, Time to Toss Voss. I got at least one more question for you. You know, the Ohio House Speaker Cliff Rosenberger, this buddy of Robin Voss, is a really, really good friend. The kind of friend that stood up in his second wedding in Italy last year. That kind of friend?
Third wedding, yes, that kind of friend. Yes, he was Cliff Rosenberger.
Third wedding?
Was Robin Voss's best. I believe it was his third wedding. Yeah, virtually certain. Yeah. Cliff Rosenberger was Robin Voss's best man at his wedding. They were on a junket together in France. They went to Normandy. It was another one of these lobbyist-paid junkets. And directly afterwards, those two went to Italy together for Robin Voss to get married. Cliff Rosenberger has called Robin Voss, one of his best friends. These two are very, very close.
And I guess that brings me back to Go, and that's the question. If Rosenberger has stepped down as the Speaker of the Ohio Assembly, apparently investigated for the very same trips he was on with Robin Voss, and Robin Voss has caught a little hell, perhaps just ethically. Maybe it doesn't bother him. The man knows very little shame, as you point out. But he also got on the state airplane, took a trip down to Ohio, took a bunch of Republican buddies with him. How does he justify this expense on the taxpayer's dollar to go hang out with his best man in Ohio?
Yes, and it was yet another contact between the two. And I'm not saying the contacts were nefarious. It's just bizarre. He figured out a way to hang out with this guy, it appears, every few weeks for the last 2 years. Just amazing closeness, for two politicians. That particular trip, it was $4,300 that the taxpayers of the state of Wisconsin had to pay. There's no doubt that was at least, supposedly important state business. It was on the surface, it was state business. They were going down there to talk about state-to-state cooperation or, I don't know, something like that. Again, though, Prudy, this comes down to optics. This is something that hit the papers 2 weeks ago. We're entering election season. The details of this, what they were doing down there, the details of why they had to go, almost don't matter. Your average voter is not going to delve into it like, one of us three might. We're kind of political junkies, right? Non-political junkies will just see this headline, and they will say, why, look at that, how very swampy of Robin Voss. Oh, he's the leader of the assembly. Should I vote Republican or Democratic this November?
Michael, final question. It was rumored that Robin Voss was considering a run for Paul Ryan's soon-to-be vacated congressional seat. Do you think that these bad headlines regarding the lobbyist-paid junkets to Europe with the guy under investigation from the FBI, his best man, do you think the bad press gave him pause, and perhaps that's why he's not running to be Congressman Voss?
You can't see into someone else's head, right? So we can't say that for sure. But just look at this. So his friend, the Ohio Assembly Speaker, is being investigated by the FBI. He has to have at least some idea that he's going to have some interaction with the FBI at some point soon. Whether he thinks he did anything wrong or not, he's obviously he's involved in Cliff Rosenberger's international travel.
At minimum, he's a material witness, right?
Right. He was there. He was there for what Rosenberger was being accused of. But this is a person who has always dreamt of running for Congress. He has said as much. When he was in college, he dreamt of running for Congress. This seat that in the district where he lives has been held by the same person for 20 years? 20 years, I think. This seat does not come up very often, right? This was his big chance to run for Congress, and he didn't do it. It's bizarre. The fact that he didn't run is just absolutely inexplicable, except something happened. It was the London trip. It was the only, to me, logical explanation of why he did not run.
Well, it wasn't this fine piece that you submitted at the Isthmus, Michael Cummins. Time to toss Voss, the Republican Assembly Speaker, is unfit for office. I recommend you read it. We posted it on our Facebook page. Michael, we appreciate you joining us on the air today.
Isthmus.com. Thank you guys so much. Always love talking to you.
Yeah, thanks, Michael.
You. Folks, we are the Devil's Advocates. We try to catch all the headlines, and we tell you what's important to know. All you got to do is listen to the Devil's Advocates 3 hours each weekday. It's not much to ask. A small commitment. That's all we ask. A small commitment of your time and perhaps some folding paper money. Just shove it under the door. We'll spend it. Bar tabs, they get expensive. More Devil's Advocates on the other side. 844-967-2789.
Hey, you want to get high, man?
So thank you.
Very powerful.
Brad Zog, owner of Zero Res Madison, resisting dirty carpets and harsh chemicals. Brad, why should people use Zero Res Madison?
Why wouldn't you clean your carpets like this? We're not using any soaps. We're not using any chemicals. We cost about the same as the other guys. You look at it and you go, where's the downside? You got a completely green clean. That's awesome. We guarantee it. There's no downside.
There's no downside. Use Zero Res. Call Zero Res today. 608-848-9000. Zero Res. Spell it forward or backward. It's the right way to clean.
Wisconsin's doing terribly. The roads are a disaster because they don't have any money to rebuild them. They're borrowing money like crazy. They projected a $1 billion surplus, and it turns out to be a deficit of $2.2 billion. The schools are a disaster. The hospitals and education is a disaster. And when I see Scott Walker with his little motorcycle and puts his helmet on, and he gets off and he makes a speech. But, he's always riding like, he gets off a bike like he's a big tough guy. Okay, or a little tough guy. Their lobbyists, their special interests, and their donors will start calling. They gave you $1 million to your campaign, and this one gave you $5 million, and this one, you have to do it. You know what he's going to say? Okay, I'll do it.
Mr. Trump, you're using the talking points of the Democrats, and as we all know, that
I'm using facts.
This message was paid for by the People for People Corporation. Donate online at p4ppc.org, p4ppc.org. Have a drink at Regano's Roman Coin. This neighborhood corner tavern is as classic as the street it occupies. Family owned and operated since 1966, Regano's Roman Coin is located in a former Pabst Tide House on historic Brady Street, serving an array of craft beers with a focus on Wisconsin breweries. Also, weekly drink specials, trivia on Wednesdays, seasonal sporting events, parties hosted for all occasions, and pet friendly. Open 11 a.m. Tuesday through Friday, 10 a.m. Saturday and Sunday, closed on Monday. Regano's Roman Coin, Milwaukee's pet friendly, cash only ordering classic corner tavern.
In this hot real estate market, don't pay 5 or 6% commission. With Homeowners Concept Realtors, you pay no more than 3.9% for full service. Homeowners Concept Realtors sell many more homes per year than the average agent. That's experience you can count on. If you're thinking of selling, call 414-258-7778 for an agent that specializes in your area for ideas on price, marketing, and staging your home. The more you know, you'll wisely choose Homeowners Concept 3.9% Realtors. HomeownersConcept.com.
Hi, I'm Becky with Bounce Milwaukee, a progressive, local, family-owned entertainment center. We just want to remind you what it's like to be a kid again. Come on in for all ages fun. Bounce in our giant inflatables, race up the rock wall, dominate your friends in laser tag, or just relax in our bar or our massage chairs. Open 6 days a week with extended adult-only weekend hours. Find us at bouncemilwaukee.com.
Have you outgrown your house? Are you sick of apartment living? Not ready to buy but know you need to move? Hi folks, this is Tom Hartman for CCL Management in Middleton. You should consider moving up to one of the finer rental homes CCL Management represents. Unique houses and condos, always clean, most are pet friendly. Visit cclmanagement.com today to find your new home. CCL Management, Dane County's premier leasing and property management company.
Call CCL Management at 833-0009. That's 833-0009 or visit cclmanagement.com today.
J.D. Davis Funeral Home, located at 4803 West Burlott Street, is dedicated, dignified, and distinguished in serving you in your time of need. Direct cremation specials starting at a very low cost of $595. That does not include cremation permit or crematory fee. Traditional funeral packages starting at $1,995 with a 20-gauge metal casket included. Title 19, Milwaukee County General Assistance accepted. Call today, 414-444-8300.
The Devil's Advocates, because freedom.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. If you want to join in on this fine conversation, you can call the party line or text it at 844-967-2789.
Dominic, I want to thank our most recent guest, Michael Cummins. Find him at the Isthmus. Time to toss Foss. A devastating piece. Got another devastating piece at the New Yorker. Going to do some Walker bashing in the happy hour also. Got the fine Dem Milwaukee County Party Chair, Chris Walton, joining us in the happy hour down here on Brady. But right now, let's do a little Growthy Grothman bashing.
Ma, the meatloaf!
Lee Berquist at the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel. Koch brothers group to run ads back in Wisconsin's Glenn Grothman.
Shocking.
Americans for Prosperity, the Koch brothers funded conservative advocacy group, says it's launching an ad campaign over the Memorial Day weekend on behalf of Rep. Glenn Grothy Grothman, Republican from Wisconsin, lauding the congressman for his voting record to control government spending. We blasted major holes in the deficit, the debt. I read on. The group said in a statement that Grothman is the only politician from Wisconsin to be featured in a national campaign, and here's a quote, to hold both Republicans and Democrats accountable for their records on government spending and to thank champions who have protected taxpayers. Never heard that word associated with the name Grothman.
Champions?
The ads will come in the form of mailers and digital and print advertising and will point to Grothman's vote opposing a $1.3 trillion spending bill in March that was signed into law. Every other Republican voted for it.
So are the Koch brothers and Americans for Prosperity going to run ads against all the other Republicans for voting for it?
I'm not clear. Doesn't seem to be the case. Grothman is seeking a third term and has said the 2018 race is his toughest. His 6th congressional district covers portions of eastern Wisconsin. He's running against our friend, Democrat Dan Cole of Mequon, in the general election. He does have a primary opponent, and one never knows with Grothman. He might lose. Scott Ulmer, he's been a guest on this show. He is a Republican from Plymouth.
Go, Scott!
We are the Devil's Advocates. We're the coolest thing that Brady Street ever saw. At least one of us. Mostly me.
Yeah.
Come back with us, the Walker Bash, and we're just going to get wound up. I'm going to club him like a redheaded stepchild, like a baby seal, like a salvia.
Bring it.
Walker bashing is next. The happy hour. It starts right now.
My name is Adam Holmes, and I'm proud to be union.
Adam, you're Director of Training for Painters, District Council 7. What do you do?
I'm making sure that we're investing in our members. We're providing the safest and best trained painters, glazers, drywall finishers, and trade show workers in the industry, and we also do that at no cost to the taxpayers.
Why hire unions?
Because it costs less to be safe. We keep the contractor on the right side of OSHA and help keep the workmen's comp rates affordable. Join us, Painters and Allied Trades, District Council 7.
Hello, friends. Tom Alonzi from Teamsters Local 200. Local 200 has union members from up north in Fond du Lac all the way down to the Illinois state line, from the shores of Lake Michigan out to Waukesha. Here's a fact. Teamster union members negotiate living wages and affordable health care benefits where they work with their union representative. If you're a worker interested in receiving better wages and benefits and respect at your workplace, give Teamsters Local 200 a call at 414-771-6363 and ask to speak to a Teamsters Local 200 organizer today.
J.D. Davis Funeral Home, located at 4803 West Burleigh Street, is dedicated, dignified, and distinguished in serving you in your time of need. Direct cremation specials starting at a very low cost of $595. That does not include cremation permit or crematory fee. Traditional funeral packages starting at $1,995 with a 20-gauge metal casket included. Title 19, Milwaukee County General Assistance accepted. Call today, 414-444-8300.
Welcome back. A good friend of ours, a fine sponsor. He's Lenny Mattioli's Crazy E-Bike Lenny, and he's always selling e-bikes. Lenny, welcome back to the show, man. I got to tell you, I've been missing your ads on the radio. What happened, Lenny?
Any potential advertisers that were considering using Devil's Advocate, listen to this. We ran an ad 10 days. We sold every one. Every single one.
The Devil's Advocates.
Merchandising!
Every single one.
You are listening to 1510 AM WRRD Waukesha, Milwaukee, and 1580 AM WTTN Columbus, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network.
Surprise cancellation, Spygate session. I'm Barbara Cusack. President Trump canceled a June 12th summit planned with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un, saying the dialogue between the two nations was good until the North shifted back to its usual belligerent tone. From North Korea, correspondent Will Ripley gauged reaction.
I can tell you there was just a real sense of shock amongst the people that I was sitting with, the North Korean officials. They didn't give any official comment.
Ripley was one of the journalists invited to watch the demolition of North Korea's nuclear test site in Punggye-ri. The presence of White House lawyer Emmett Flood and Chief of Staff John Kelly at two classified briefings concerning allegations the FBI placed a spy in the Trump campaign took members of Congress by surprise. Correspondent Laura Jarrett tells us.
The White House put out a statement essentially saying there's nothing to see here. Flood and Kelly's attendance was merely in order to ensure transparency.
Afterward, congressional Democrats said there is no evidence the FBI spied on the Trump campaign. The families of two of the students killed in the Parkland school massacre are suing the maker and seller of the weapon used in the attack. Fred Guttenberg's 14-year-old daughter Jamie was among those killed at Stoneman Douglas High.
We need to force manufacturers, marketers, and retailers of guns to be the responsible ones to make sure that when these guns end up in someone's hands, there is a way to ensure they're ending up in the hands of someone who does not intend to kill somebody else.
Law enforcement officials say Harvey Weinstein is expected to surrender to authorities tomorrow in New York to face criminal charges in an investigation of allegations he sexually assaulted women. Weinstein has repeatedly said he's only had consensual sex. Stocks dropped. The Dow was down by 75 points. The S&P 500 shed 6 points, and the Nasdaq was off by 2 points. I'm Barbara Cusack.
Jeff's Guitar Clinic is a multifaceted shop offering guitars, amplifiers, and all accessories, guitar lessons for all ages, and instrument repair of the highest quality. Jeff'sGuitar.com.
180 over 111, and I had a stroke. I couldn't speak or walk.
150 over 90, and I had a stroke.
This is what high blood pressure sounds like. You might not feel its symptoms, but the results from a stroke are far from silent. Get back on your treatment plan or talk with your doctor to create a plan that works for you. Go to loweryourhbp.org.
Head to toe, everything's changed.
Brought to you by the American Stroke Association, American Medical Association, and the Ad Council.
Join the resistance against dirty carpets. Call Zero Res Madison today for our summer special. Clean and sanitize 3 rooms for only $139. Call 608-848-9000 or schedule online at ZeroResMadison.com. Zero Res, spell it forward or backward, it's the right way to clean.
It's on you.
Baseball officials say balls are flying out of parks more often, but they're at a loss to explain why.
Last year, there were more home runs hit in baseball than in any other season, and multiple studies indicated the makeup of the ball was different, leading to what's called a juiced ball. But while a 10-person committee of researchers agrees the aerodynamic properties of the ball have changed, allowing it to carry further in the air, their 84-page report said they found no evidence the balls themselves were different in any substantial way. They also said they didn't think a recent trend in which more players are taking uppercut swings was having much of an effect either. I'm John Stolnis.
Veteran NFL guard Richie Incognito was taken by police to a Florida mental facility after he allegedly threw weights and tennis balls at gym employees and another patron. Boca Raton police also report Incognito said he was involved with the NSA, but he couldn't talk about it because they didn't have a high enough security clearance. I'm Barbara Cusack.
Everybody buckle up. Mom. Buckle up.
Let's go.
Buckle up.
Can we go to the store? Mom,
buckle
can we get
up.
some ice cream?
Everybody, buckle up.
A lot goes on in the car, but you're in control. So only move when you hear the click that says they're buckled in. Never give up until they buckle up. Learn more at safercar.gov/kidsbuckleup. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
The Resistance is live 7 days a week here on 1510 AM WRRD, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio. Tune in Saturdays for Busted Pencils, fully leaded education talk with Dr. Tim Slecker, 11 a.m. to noon. Then it's the voice of the voiceless, champion of the working class. Earl Ingram's Saturday show is live from 12 to 3 p.m. Then Right Meets Left with the Joel and Joe Costa Show. Republican State Rep Joel Clayfish and Democratic State Rep Joe Costa Zamarupa go toe-to-toe from 3 to 4. Always streaming at newstalk1510am.com, Wisconsin's Resistance.
For Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network, I'm Stu Daniels with your headlines. The body camera footage released yesterday in the Sterling Brown case shows that Milwaukee police were confrontational from the start of the incident. Brown was arrested in January after police approached him in a drugstore parking lot. The footage shows police approaching Brown, throwing him to the pavement and tasing him. Milwaukee Police Chief Alfonso Morales said that officers acted inappropriately and have been disciplined. Outside this afternoon, sunshine, then mostly clear tonight, lows around 60 degrees. Tomorrow, mostly sunny with a slight chance of an afternoon shower. Highs in the mid-80s in Milwaukee, low 80s in Madison. And then Saturday, mostly sunny with highs in the mid-80s. You're listening to Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network.
The following program is a presentation of DC Communications, LLC. Warning, you are about to listen to the greatest radio show ever. And due to contractual obligations and to shield our airwaves' corporate licensees from any semblance of liability, responsibility, and gullibility, we must tell you the views represented on this show are not necessarily those of this station or its management. This radio show contains differing points of view on current political topics, and due to the nature of its contents, it should be heard by everyone. Thank you for listening.
3, 2, 1.
Now live from the heart of liberal Wisconsin, where the political party is just beginning, welcome to the Devil's Advocate Show. Best friends proving it's never personal, only politics.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
Now here are your hosts, Dom and Crute.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. Dominic, we're sliding into the 5 o'clock happy hour. And I'm happy because it's time to do some Walker bashing.
Hell yeah.
This article at the New Yorker, Benjamin Wallace Wells, I think this is devastating. You can see if you agree. I'm going to read aloud. I'm not great at that, but I'm going to try. Will the Tea Party era end where it started in Wisconsin? ? At the outset of the 21st century, Wisconsin was known for a certain social steadiness. Chilly and saturated with lakes and small towns, it mostly escaped the entropic pressures of exurban sprawl. Its self-identity was not as caught up in the industrialization as that of some other Midwestern states, so it was spared some of the psychic pain when manufacturing jobs went overseas. But after the election of Republican Governor Scott Walker in 2010, the year of the Tea Party, it should be Tear Party, Wisconsin's politics grew far more vivid and bitter. A few weeks into his administration, Walker moved to take away the rights of most public employees to bargain collectively, the notorious Act 10, provoking weeks of enormous rallies at the state capitol in a statewide recall election, which Walker survived. After that, the partisanship only escalated. Walker oversaw a redistricting effort so aggressively gerrymandered that it is now before the United States Supreme Court, a voter identification law that is said to have disenfranchised 200,000 people and a campaign finance regime so lax that the current Republican primary for U.S. Senate is widely seen as a proxy war between two billionaire donors. Kenneth Mayer, a political scientist at the University of Wisconsin, told me what Wisconsin gave the nation was the model where you could take a very tiny electoral margin and act as if you won an overwhelming majority and the other side has no say at all. Dale Schultz, our friend Dominic, a Republican who was formerly a leader in the state Senate, told me that the early days of the Walker administration created a malaise that hangs in the state to this day. By the 2016 presidential election, in which Wisconsin's electoral votes were won in an upset by Donald Trump, it was as if whatever gene had made Wisconsin steady had been extracted and replaced by its opposite. Of the 206 counties in the country that voted twice for Obama and then for Trump, 23 were in Wisconsin. In 2012, Crawford County in southwestern Wisconsin went for Obama by 19 points. 4 years later, it went for Trump by 6. Juneau County went for Obama by 7, then for Trump by 26. Trempealeau and Lafayette counties in separate parts of the state voted for Obama by about 15 points and Trump by about 10. Democrats after the 2016 election tended to lament Hillary Clinton's travel schedule, which did not include a single stop in Wisconsin during the general election. But these county swings suggested an uncertainty and variability that a campaign stop in Oshkosh, no matter how well orchestrated, was unlikely to touch. The Walker era began in 2010, an extraordinarily good year for Republicans, and it endured under Obama, whose political bent and character both kept conservatives' blood pressure high. Walker is running for a third term this year in a political environment that is the inverse of 2010's. In May, Paul Ryan, one of Walker's chief political allies, who, as Speaker of the House, has done more than anyone to channel the spirit of 2010 into a more or less organized politics, announced he was retiring at the age of only 48 years old. When I called conservatives in Madison recently, I heard a general trepidation. The energy on the Democratic side, especially among women, that's real, one senior advisor to a statewide Republican campaign told me. There are Republicans who think that Walker will save them, that they can play the same tune again, but they don't realize how jammed up they are. Others have more existential concerns. The Tea Party energy is more or less gone, a longtime conservative insider in Madison told me. In January, a Democrat won a state Senate election in a Trump district. In April, another Democrat won statewide election for a seat on the Wisconsin Supreme Court by 12 points. The conservative insider told me that Ryan's retirement was a sign that the jig was up. These political movements usually come and go in decades-long cycles, he said. Still, political people in Wisconsin seem to have some difficulty imagining what might replace this era. The most pervasive theory for why Wisconsin's politics slipped into chaos comes from the University of Wisconsin political scientist Kathy Kramer, who has stressed a burgeoning rural consciousness in which people in the state's small towns believed their resources were being taken away and redistributed to the poor and the connected inner cities public employees. Walker, Kramer argues, understood and weaponized this sensitivity so that even minor budgetary questions could be subjected to tribal accounting of who is getting things, our people or theirs. When I called around to Walker's opponents in the state, they seemed to be probing delicately and tentatively, trying to figure out whether this intense partisan identity could be dislodged. In some voters, they hoped to persuade to turn against Walker, or whether it was not worth it to try. In the years before Walker's ascendance, Dale Schultz was the Republican Party's leader in the Wisconsin State Senate, twice elected, Dom. Majority leader, our buddy Dale Schultz. Back to the piece. Schultz retired from politics 3 years ago. When I reached out to him, he was at his hometown of Richland Center in southwestern Wisconsin, helping a friend paint a house for rent on Airbnb. Dale's always working. And I called him because I was trying to understand the sped up pace of elections in the state. Already, 3 months before the primary and 6 before the general election, the airwaves in the state are full of partisan invective. Elections in Wisconsin, this is a quote from Dale Schultz. Elections in Wisconsin now are over in June, Schultz said. It was a function, in his view, of the way campaign finance laws and norms had changed in the Walker era. Schultz said that ordinary state Senate races now regularly receive the same level of campaign contributions as races for governor did in the beginning of his political career. Another quote, all that money comes in early, and it all goes to negative advertising about your opponent. And so by the end of June, the election's over. Even in state Senate races, where only 15,000 total votes might be cast, Schultz said, it has become common for 3/4 of the spending to come from independent groups. The effect has been to turn a politician's attention to the early competition for outside money and big donors' favor. Another quote, now you don't go around your district until after Labor Day, and that's for show, Schultz said.
Schultz's sense of abandonment was broad. He told me that under Walker, the state's Republican Party had, in its embrace of vote-suppressing voter identification measures, in its comfort with deficits and third-party campaign spending, in its passage of budgets that eroded institutions in rural parts of the state, in its unembarrassed partisanship, lost any claim of being either Republican or conservative. What you have is a bunch of nationalist, know-nothing anarchists, he said. What seemed to bother Schultz the most was the regularity with which the Wisconsin and National Republican Party were now breaking norms. He belongs to the wing of the resistance that emphasizes the affront to civics. He has become a very public critic of aggressive Republican redistricting and voter identification laws he supported when in office. As Schultz talked about his tenure in the state Senate, during which a relatively bipartisan body had undergone, in his account, something like a total partisan breakdown, it seemed to me that what he was actually describing was the collapse of the position of the politician. There's no money in the middle, he said. A feature of Wisconsin politics in the Walker era has been the ascent in prominence of two radio talk personalities, Mark Belling and Charlie Sykes, and Schultz told me, quote, politicians would be whining about how terrible it was, and yet no one wanted to stand up to them and become a target. What he was describing was the way in which people who had spent their lives seeking power suddenly discover their own relative powerlessness. For a while, Schultz had stood up to the talk radio host insofar as he was a reliable target of their ire, but eventually it became apparent that he was not the future of his party, and he retired. It was very difficult for Schultz to imagine how the Republican Party itself could repair the fissures in civic life that it had created. Those who objected to the drift of the party lost credibility with its voter. In a sense, this had been the pattern in Washington, too, where the first year of the Trump era ended not with Republican congressmen defying the president, as it sometimes seemed they might during the campaign, when so few of them supported him, but with many of them simply heading for the exits. It's not going to be wound back, Schultz said. The party in power has to be defeated before it understands the need for change. He also understood that this was not his role exactly. That was for the Democrats.
Folks, we are the Devil's Advocates. We're reading from the New Yorker. Will the Tea Party era end where it started in Wisconsin? Benjamin Wallace Wells. We'll come back. We'll read more. We've also got the Milwaukee Dem County Party Chair, Chris Walton. He's going to join us right here on Brady Street. And you can always join us. Phone line's always toll free. You can text or call at 844-967-2789. You are listening to Wisconsin's only Resistance Radio. No righty-whitey talk here.
We don't know who you are or where you're going.
Hey, you want to get high, man?
You know, I'm an Eagle Scout.
I got a joint here, man. I've been saving for a special occasion.
No, I'm going to stay for a while. How about that? Freedom.
Hi, Resistance Radio listeners. This is Kim Schrader, the president of the Milwaukee Teachers Education Association. We are the 4,600 educators who make Milwaukee's public education system possible. MTA members are the guardians of public education because every single day we are fighting to strengthen and protect public schools our students deserve. MTA educators are leading the fight in Milwaukee public schools for smaller class sizes, more recess, physical education, art, and music opportunities for every child in MPS. MTA educators are the champions for healthier school meals, positive discipline practices, equitable schools, and schools that partner with parents. MTA members are the guardians of public education, and we are proud to teach all children, regardless of their zip code. To learn more, follow us on Facebook at the Milwaukee Teachers Education Association.
Hey folks, sexy liberal Stephanie Miller here. Most new Wisconsin jobs are in Dane County, it's true. Some of my listeners are relocating to Madison. Many already commute there. When asked where to turn for a trusted real estate team that understands Madison, I say the same thing. Solidarity Realty. They help you through the process and protect your consumer rights. They live their values building community, promoting sustainability and diversity. Find them today at solidarityrealty.com and tell them Stephanie Miller sent you.
Did you know you can take Wisconsin's Resistance Radio anywhere? Check us out on the TuneIn app under WRRD. I'll help you out. Hey, Alexa, play WRRD on the TuneIn app. You're welcome, everyone, and thank you for listening to Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network.
Join the resistance against dirty carpets. Call Zero Res Madison today for our summer special. Clean and sanitize 3 rooms for only $139. Call 608-848-9000 or schedule online at ZeroResMadison.com. Zero Res, spell it forward or backward, it's the right way to clean.
We are the People for People, People Corporation. We are a registered 501c3, totally legit. What do? We take your uncapped, dark money, tax-deductible donations, private or corporate, always anonymous, and we turn it into free speech. You know, educate Wisconsin through advertising, which may or may not be in coordination with the candidate. Isn't that illegal? It should be, but it's not under Wisconsin law, thanks Governor Scott Walker. Politicians in Wisconsin are beholden to the millionaire and billionaire sugar daddy and sugar mamas that finance their campaigns. Time to make them beholden to we the people for People Corporation. Give your tax-deductible donation to the real patriots, the People for People Corporation, P for ppc.org, P, the number 4, ppc.org.
Hi, I'm Todd Stryker, President and CEO of Five Nines. Have you got your head in the clouds on how to manage IT for your enterprise? We can make your dreams a reality. With our enterprise cloud technology, consulting, servers, networks, and hosting, we'll manage your IT so you can focus on running your business. Consider Five Nines your personal enterprise IT solution. Enjoy technology. For more information, visit fivenines.com. That's the number 5, NINES.com.
Ignacio, what do you got for us today?
Hey, I quit paying attention for like maybe one day, and all hell breaks loose. That goes to show me I got to pay attention every single day to your radio program, or else who knows what'll happen.
If you don't listen to the Devil's Advocates 3 hours every day, Nacho, you're missing a lot.
You got that right. I just learned that today. I turned it on and I'm listening, and you really just rocked my world today. I was just totally blown away.
Save the $2 on tomorrow's paper. Listen to the Devil's Advocates today.
Totally blown away.
The Devil's Advocates, where there's always time for Scott Walker bashing. Hashtag Walker bashing.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show on Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network. Phone lines open 844-967-2789.
Dominic, got a fine guest joining us here on Brady Next. Christopher Walton, chairman of the Democratic Party of Milwaukee County, but not done with the Walker bashing. Not by a long shot. I'm jumping back in this piece from the New Yorker. Benjamin Wallace Wells, will the Tea Party era end where it started in Wisconsin? Dom, I'm jumping forward in the piece. They do discuss the election. Patty Schreckner, of course, the 10th Senate District special election. You know, Walker, blue wave and all that kind of stuff, but back to the piece. State Senate races in Wisconsin are a little bit like federal elections and a little bit like student council campaigns. The Wisconsin chapters of America's for Prosperity, you know, Grothman's buddies, the conservative group backed by billionaire industrialists Charles and David Koch, I turned the page, paid for radio ads and mailers supporting Schreckner's opponent, the Republican State Assemblyman Adam Jarchow, as did the conservative group from Virginia, the Republican State Leadership Committee. Meanwhile, a liberal group, the Greater Wisconsin Committee, spent $30,000 on pro-Schreckner ads. There was only a month between the primaries and the election, so people were getting 4 or 5 mailers a day, Schreckner said.
Wow.
She recalled one in particular intended to depict her tenure as medical examiner as profligate. They put my head on a voluptuous body in a low-cut white shirt with a button being pulled, Schreckner said. I'm 58. She was also well known in the 10th Senate District, having lived there all her life. She recalled a voter who had said her 11-year-old son had come upon the mailer and said, "This isn't Patty. Those aren't her boobs." Schreckner won, earning 55% of the vote in Madison. Walker dispensed with the spin. The governor tweeted that the result is a wake-up call for Republicans in 2018. The exact terrain of the midterm elections in Wisconsin has still not been settled, in part because the primaries aren't until August, in part because the United States Supreme Court has not yet ruled on the gerrymandering case it heard in October. Its ruling could throw the districts of the state legislature, where Republicans hold a very slight advantage in the Senate and nearly a 2-to-1 advantage in the Assembly, into chaos. Look forward to that any day now, right, Tom?
Mm-hmm.
5 of the state's 8 seats in Congress are held by Republicans, and early attention is focused on the 1st Congressional District, where a charismatic iron worker and union official named Randy Bryce raised more than $2.7 million last year to mount a long-shot campaign against Paul Ryan. With Ryan's retirement, Bryce suddenly has a much better chance at the district. Democrats have fainter but real ambitions to take both the 7th Congressional District, which sprawls across northern Wisconsin, and whose seat is currently held by the Duffmeister, Sean Duffy, a Trump ally, and the 6th, which includes the far suburbs of Milwaukee and is held by the lower-key conservative Glenn Grothy Grothman. But the central race is for governor, where there are a dozen Democratic challengers, half of whom are viewed as legitimate contenders, about 5, vying for the nomination. Walker's approval ratings has held relatively steady as he seeks a 3rd term, with a less than half the people in the state saying he's doing a good job.
Late on Saturday afternoon, I spoke with Tony Evers, the state school superintendent and the Democrat who was most commonly called the front runner in the gubernatorial primary.
Not around here.
And who, as we spoke, was driving back from a campaign event in northwestern Wisconsin calling political donors on the way. Evers, a lifelong educator, had been a central figure in the Act 10 fights, but he said that he did not expect the present election to relitigate them. For most people in Wisconsin, he believed that was in the past. He said he meant to raise a more basic objection to Walker's regime, that its budget cuts had allowed the state's institutions to deteriorate, that the Republican government had not taken care of the rural voters who were its most reliable supporters. We don't have internet in a lot of places in the state. In rural areas, they are taking asphalt off the roads because they can't afford to fix them, Evers said. In Wisconsin, there's a crisis. There's many, and some of them are interconnected. Walker's budget cuts had over time stripped almost $1 billion in state funding for public education, and there have been a wave of local referendums across Wisconsin to raise town property taxes to make up for the shortfall from the state. Half of the people that voted to increase their taxes voted for Trump, Evers asserted. The resistance taking shape to Walker and to Trump has 2 modes, civic and partisan, which, though they often overlap, are nevertheless distinct. The main innovation of the Walker era has been in its partisan extremity, and yet this aspect of his administration looks to be on the ballot this year only indirectly. The final judgment on the Walker era may turn not on the ways in which it has changed the tenor of politics, but on the more...
I don't know that word either.
quotidian matter of the ways it has underfunded the gravel appropriation for Wisconsin's rural roads. And yet the Democratic opportunity is obvious. This situation allows them to ask voters to judge the Walker years without demanding that they admit to having made a mistake. Driving back from the Northwest in between calls to donors, Evers mentioned some political road signs he'd seen near Wausau that attacked Walker for pothole-ridden roads. They're calling them Scott holes, the liberal said, with some evident pleasure. He was imagining the most basic of political arguments, that the other guys held power, and there was still so much that was wrong.
Benjamin Wallace Wells, the New Yorker, will the Tea Party era end where it started in Wisconsin? Hell yes, the answer. And Tony, feel free to appropriate all our good humor. I think Scott holes, hashtag Wisco Paul. Come back with us, Chris Walton, Chairman, Democratic Party of Milwaukee County. More Devils after this short break.
Music is a bridge between the material and the spiritual. My name is Harvey Lauer, and I'm 82. As a blind person, you have to be aware that nobody can tell you what you can or can't do. You really have to try things. My folks got me a little radio in 1940, and that was the best Christmas present I ever got. When I was 11 years old is when I started to play music, play the piano, and then the accordion, and then the cello. My wife, who was also blind, was a good cook. When she died, that's when I started Meals on Wheels. America, let's do lunch.
1 in 6 seniors faces the threat of hunger, and millions more live in isolation. Drop off a hot meal and say a quick hello. Volunteer for Meals on Wheels by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org. This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
Hi, everybody. Did you know that Scott Walker spelled backwards is Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network? I know, I was amazed too.
Do you own a rental property, or would you like to partner with a rental investment team? Call the pros you can trust at CCL Management. Rental expertise second to none, a general contractor on staff to direct repairs and improvements, and real estate brokerage services tailored to the small investor. If you're ready to invest in rental property or just need professionals to manage your real estate portfolio, call us, CCL Management, at 608-833-0009 or visit us on the web at cclmanagement.com.
Have a drink at Regano's Roman Coin. This neighborhood corner tavern is as classic as the street it occupies. Family owned and operated since 1966, Regano's Roman Coin is located in a former Pabst Tide House on historic Brady Street, serving an array of craft beers with a focus on Wisconsin breweries. Also, weekly drink specials, trivia on Wednesdays, seasonal sporting events, parties hosted for all occasions, and pet friendly. Open 11 a.m. Tuesday through Friday, 10 a.m. Saturday and Sunday. Closed on Monday. Regano's Roman Coin, Milwaukee's pet friendly, cash only order and classic corner tavern.
Why was the basketball court all wet? Because the players kept dribbling on it.
The dad joke. Corny, groan-worthy, but also one of the simplest ways to share a moment with your kids.
What did the buffalo say when he dropped his son off for school? Bye, son.
So take a moment to make your kid laugh, because dad jokes rule. Make your kid laugh today. Go to fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Tune in to The Resistance, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio. Start your weekday off with the Earl Ingram Show from 7 to 9 a.m. Next is the Stephanie Miller Show from 9 to 11. Then from 11 to 2, it's the Tom Hartman Program. At 2 o'clock, it's 414 Wisconsin. Then from 3 to 6, it's the Devil's Advocates. Mandatory listening. Wisconsin's Resistance Radio. For Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network, I'm Stu Daniels with your headlines. Americans for Prosperity, the conservative group funded by the Koch brothers, has announced it will be running an ad campaign for Republican Congressman Glenn Grothman. The congressman is seeking his third term for Wisconsin's 6th congressional district, which covers suburban and rural areas north and west of Milwaukee. Democrat Dan Cole of Mequon is expected to face Grothman in the general election in November. And attorneys for Arrowhead High School have filed a motion seeking to dismiss a lawsuit brought by a student who was suspended from the soccer team for having a party where underage students were drinking alcohol. The attorneys say the complaint is baseless. The student says her civil rights were violated and says she did not possess, consume, or supply any alcohol at the party. You're listening to Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network.
Occupy didn't start on Wall Street. It started on our street. Tom and Crute, the Devil's Advocates.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates radio show in the midst of the happy hour, and it gets happier right now. We welcome Chris Walton. He is the chairman of the Democratic Party of Milwaukee County. Chris, your first visit, at least to this show, right?
Yes, it is.
All right, welcome. Thanks for coming in.
Well, we appreciate you coming down here today, Chris. I don't know if you were listening to the fine Resistance radio signal on the way in.
Oh, yes.
Doing a little Walker bashing here on the show. Chris, I think we're right to do so. Let me ask you, what is the sentiment of the Milwaukee County Dems right now, and how much does Walker factor into this elective cycle?
Well, of course, as you know, Walker was the county executive here in Milwaukee. So the Milwaukee County Democratic Party has spent a lot of time fighting Scott Walker. Sometimes we've won, sometimes we've lost. We actually are on a 3-county winning streak so far against Scott Walker because he didn't win Milwaukee in 10, he didn't win it in the recall, and he didn't win it again in 14. So what we're doing right now is trying to keep that process going, keep that run going and keep it alive. But we're also trying to make sure we end up with the right candidates so we can take advantage of that going forward, so we have the right folks going to the assembly races, going for the state senate, making sure that whomever is chosen to be the Democratic nominee for governor, that we are ready and prepared to volunteer, making sure that we are ready and prepared to phone bank, do whatever we need to do to make sure Milwaukee turns out to elect the next Democratic governor of the state of Wisconsin and reelect Tammy Baldwin and up and down the ticket Democrats.
Chris, I'm going to throw out my theory. It's self-serving, but it's my theory, so I'm going to share it with you. Right here in Milwaukee, we hear often about the fact that people didn't turn out for Hillary Clinton, especially African-American voters.
Yes.
And I don't think anyone ever brings up the fact that 1290 AM, which was one of the authentic African-American stations, the one Willie Davis had right here in Milwaukee, that went off the air, at least as Black Talk, in 2013. And I don't think anyone really draws correlation. We just read a piece, Benjamin Wallace Wells from the New Yorker talked about, Belling and Sykes, righty-whitey talk radio, in essence, made Scott Walker in part what he is.
Yeah.
And I look at the outcome, and I always point to the example, not just of Sheriff David A. Clark Jr. winning as a Democrat in Milwaukee County with the help of crossover voters.
I'm going to stop you there. For the record, the state party had pulled his D from behind his name. He was not a Democrat, and he was not an endorsed candidate for Milwaukee County.
Well, of course he wasn't. He was a Republican running as a faux Dem and only won re-election with the support of right-wing talk radio.
The support.
The get-out-the-vote mechanism. I mean, hell, he thanked his now ex-wife. He thanked God, and he thanked Jerry Bott, Jerry Bader, Dan O'Donnell, Vicky McKenna. I mean, he effectively knew he only could attribute his election to right-wing talk radio. And then you look, finally, and now I'm getting to the point. The primary here in the state of Wisconsin, the Never Trump primary, where Ted Cruz won by double digits.
Yeah. And
then it came fall election time, and effectively the Republicans matched the votes that Romney drew in Wisconsin in 2012. Right-wing talk radio got theirs out.
Yeah.
Chris, do you think the lack of African-American and authentic voice to that community, do you think that was any part of the depressed turnout?
I think that was one of the reasons why the turnout was so depressed. Honestly, I think that along with the fact of voter ID, along with the fact of the Clinton campaign didn't target the state of Wisconsin as much because the polling said that Wisconsin wasn't much of a battleground state because it was going to be safely in the Clinton campaign.
She thought she was winning here.
Yeah. She thought she was winning here in Michigan and Pennsylvania, and well, we see how that went. And it's not that, there were a lot of factors going into that. Do I think we need an authentic African-American media solution here in Milwaukee as well? I believe that is absolutely something we need. Earl Ingram does a show here early in the morning as well. And having a voice like that who can speak from an African-American perspective is an amazing thing just to have on the radio here in Milwaukee, a place where we've been known for being one of the most segregated cities in the nation, having this is the worst possible place to be born as a black man in America, which says a lot because I was born a black man in America here in Milwaukee, and it's been a challenge at some points, but it's also been something that's been very eye-opening. And I believe that having that perspective is something that is very important. But we also have to look at all of the other factors as well that have come in to make sure that people like Barack Obama never got elected or reelected or any of that ever happened again. So I think that we can do a lot of different things to make sure that we get that type of perspective on the radio at different radio stations. We actually have a lot of minority media groups here minority media stations here in Milwaukee. Of course, we have 98.3, we have V100. They mostly cater to more music, but I would wish they would have a program, at least for an hour a day, 30 minutes, that would also put out a news cycle so it wouldn't just be constantly music, because the world isn't just music anymore. We have a lot of issues we have to face and fight about.
Well, Chris, let's not propose any competition for our guy Earl, man. That's our piece of the puzzle. That's what we're trying to do. You mentioned voter suppression. Chris, how much does the failure of Scott Walker and Republicans in state government to really inform the populace? I think there's probably a lot more qualified voters than people realize, but they don't want to get hassled at the polls. They are not well informed because the governor purposefully left them uninformed, never even expended the dollars to inform them. I mean, we've tried to do our part. We've had Senator LaTanya Johnson doing voter ID up to the spring elections here in the state of Wisconsin. But I got to tell you, if we don't inform the populace, the Democratic Party, the resistance radio crowd, I don't know how people are going to get the information. How do we get it out there? You're probably eligible to vote. You may just have to, take a few steps to get there.
Well, ideally, and hopefully this will happen after we get our next governor and the new state legislature, we'll remove those barriers. Because in a democracy, there shouldn't have to be, you have to do this, this, and this, and then you can vote. It should be, you're a citizen, you vote. And that should be it, honestly, in my opinion. Until we can get to that point, we should have folks out there knocking on doors, which thankfully the state party has already got organizers on the ground and have had them on the ground since the beginning of last year, working toward the governor's race. We got folks like the new regional Jake Spence. I don't know if you all have had a chance to speak.
I'm not clear who Jake is. I'm sorry.
He's actually the son of one of the Milwaukee school board members here in the city, and he was the organizer on the Clinton campaign. So he kind of saw how not to go down that direction again. But now he's taking those lessons that he learned to not go and actually using those to go forward and hopefully win us this race in this November.
Chris, just speaking candidly, I'm concerned. I talked to my host, Earl Ingram Jr., and while I know he's had a number of the gubernatorial candidates on, they don't all get it. So many of them, we've been out to Coffee Makes You Black. We've done radio events from there. So many in the African-American community, and I'm not going to pretend to be an authentic voice, but I know what they told me.
Yeah.
And they still feel neglected. They still don't feel like anyone's listening or messaging to them. Chris, do you think anything substantially has changed, or should we fear another potential bad outcome, especially amongst African-American voters here?
I think absolutely we should fear that. I think to not fear that would be, honestly, political suicide. At the same time, I can speak from as one of the newly elected members of the state party, as the county chair of Milwaukee County, to speak to the African-American community, to speak to the perspective of an African-American community, and make sure that we're being heard. And we're at that table whenever these questions come up or what needs to be done. I'm making sure that in my role as chair of the Milwaukee County Democratic Party, that I'm there saying, hey, we need to focus on this group. We need to reach out to this people. We need to make sure that I went and spoke to the Milwaukee Community Journal, and nobody had done that previously. And we have to make sure we go to these places. And we can't just expect things to remain the same. We've done the same very well, and it hasn't worked all the time. Now it's time we change things and do something new.
Yeah, I had noticed.
Folks, you're listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. That is Chris Walton. He's the chairman of the Democratic Party of Milwaukee County. He joins us in studio. Chris, you mentioned Jake with the Hillary campaign, and of course there's been the Bernie bros and the Bernie supporters as well. How do you see the healing of these two different groups coming together? I think it got kind of nasty. You're the chair of the Milwaukee County Party. What do you see going on? What are you doing to bring these different factions together?
Well, truth be told, I was not a Bernie supporter. I actually supported Secretary Clinton during the primaries, and I'm proud to say I did that. I had the opportunity to vote for a woman to be the nominee, and I took it because that was something historic. And looking at the historic nature of that, and seeing the historic nature of having our first African-American president and the first, possibly, looking forward, we're going to have a first woman, we're going to have our first Hispanic, we're going to have our first Jew, we're going to have our first Asian-American, we're going to have our first Hawaiian.
Lots of firsts coming up. Yeah.
Hopefully a first gay, everybody. We're going to make sure everybody gets it. And luckily in the Democratic Party, we make sure everybody gets a chance to be the nominee. But looking forward, 2016 is over, honestly, in my opinion. I'm not one of those people who are going to continue to fight about 2016 because I've had all of my wounds and cried enough about 2016. For me, that's over, and we're in 2018. In regards to trying to make sure that we aren't, the Bernie bros versus the Hillary bots or whatever they want to call them, depending on the day.
Right.
Honestly, it's over. Let's move forward and make sure that we're winning races in 2018 instead of continuing to fight 16.
Some of the Bernie supporters that I know of were a little incensed to the corporate structure of the party.
Yeah.
That it wasn't, in fact, reaching down to the grassroots, and it wasn't responsive to the average person on the street. Do you think that that's a valid concern looking back, and do you think that you're in a position to reach out to those individuals, aside from the corporate structure of the party, do you have outreach for individuals to try to bring people together? Because in order to push back and to beat Governor Walton, everyone's going to have to get buy-in, and everyone's going to have to be involved.
Absolutely. And one of the things that I think is most important is that I actually came in as right behind Rob Hansen, who was a supporter of Senator Sanders. And me and him we're best friends. We constantly are in communication. We constantly work together. So it's kind of an example of, hey, the Bernies and the Clintons can work together.
Yeah.
I just don't understand, honestly, why sometimes it kind of becomes that. And I think it's just a primary thing, and it becomes a family fight. That's what all primaries are. It's not, we spend more time, and I always laugh about it, say, if we spend more time fighting Republicans as hard as we fight each other, we'd be a one-party state. We'd be Massachusetts and Wisconsin at that point. I think one of the things that we should do, though, is to focus on the big picture. We have to stop Walker. We have to make sure we get candidates like Julie Hasley out in the 5th Senate District elected to the state Senate to replace Leah Vukmir. If we're still fighting each other where we can be fighting them, that's a day lost. And I think the quicker we can come together, especially around whoever is the nominee, it's better for the party, it's better for the state of Wisconsin, it's better for the whole world.
Chris, I know you don't want to look back on the 2016 campaign, but we did learn some troubling news.
Yeah.
Racial strife right here in the city of Milwaukee. Well, some of it was purposeful. Some of it was Russians targeting people in this community, trying to create this strife. And while you talk about the Bernie bros or the Hillary bots, well, some of these were literally bots. Some of these were literally ads and forced content pushed by the Russians. Chris, do we have any fear? I mean, I've seen very little to encourage me about the Trump administration's reaction. Yeah. We know that Scott Walker is leaving his ethics commission out to dry and certainly is not staffing properly for the next election. Chris, how concerned are you that outside actors may want to influence the outcomes right here in Wisconsin?
I'm deeply concerned about that. They've looked at the fact that the Trump administration isn't spending the money that Congress has allotted to combat Russian or whoever wants to interfere in our elections. They've also shown that Wisconsin was targeted. One of the things I feel that we need to do and make sure is actually spend the money that Congress has allotted to make sure this problem doesn't happen. But we also, as the voters and the citizens in this democracy, have to be aware and accept what is fact and what is actually fiction.
That's out there. I mean, it's happening. It happened. It's going to happen again.
Yeah, it's going to happen again if we aren't aware of it and if we just let it happen.
Well, Chris Walton, that's one of the true differences I see between the Democrats and the Republicans. Democrats want everyone to vote.
Yeah.
And Republicans mostly want old white guys to vote.
Yeah.
Folks, we are the Devil's Advocates. That's Chris Walton. He is the chairman of the Democratic Party of Milwaukee County. We thought it was damn near time he come down to Brady Street and have a little time with the Devil's Advocates. We'll keep him around. Easy for me to stay. Stick around, Chris. Damn it! I can't talk. More Devils on the other side.
Don't stop believing. Hold on to that feeling. Street light people.
In this hot real estate market, don't pay 5 or 6% commission. With Homeowners Concept Realtors, you pay no more than 3.9% for full service. Homeowners Concept Realtors sell many more homes per year than the average agent. That's experience you can count on. If you're thinking of selling, call 414-258-7778 for an agent that specializes in your area for ideas on price, marketing, and staging your home. The more you know, you'll wisely choose Homeowners Concept 3.9% Realtors. HomeownersConcept.com.
Brad Zog, owner of Zero Res Madison. Brad, why should people use Zero Res Madison?
Why wouldn't you clean your carpets like this? We've got a patented system. We also do another step that most people don't do. We have a double rotating brush machine that we use when we pre-treat the carpet. So this helps dig up any of that stuff that's deeper in your carpet that the vacuum doesn't get. We're going to provide that intermediary step before we clean with our empowered water.
Call Zero Res today, 608-848-9000. Zero Res. Spell it forward or backward. It's the right way to clean.
Hello, friends. Tom Malanzi here from Teamsters Local 200. Here's a fact. United States Labor Department statistics show union workers receive, on average, 30% more in pay and benefits than non-union workers doing the same job. If you're a worker interested in receiving better wages and benefits and respect at your workplace, give Teamsters Local 200 a call at 414-771-6363 and ask to speak to a Teamsters Local 200 organizer today.
J.D. Davis Funeral Home, located at 4803 West Burlott Street, is dedicated, dignified, and distinguished in serving you in your time of need. Direct cremation specials starting at a very low cost of $595. That does not include cremation permit or crematory fee. Traditional funeral packages starting at $1,995 with a 20-gauge metal casket included. Title 19, Milwaukee County General Assistance accepted. Call today, 414-444-8300.
I'm afraid right now for the future of my children's generation and those to come.
In this age of mass school shootings, Wisconsin Governor Scott Walker offers the same bold agenda of the National Rifle Association.
Make sure you remember in your thoughts and more importantly in your prayers.
While Walker offers platitudes, he blocks meaningful gun safety legislation.
It's really an honor to work with the NRA not only in my state but across the country. And I'm proud of my A+ ranking as a governor.
Walker weakened the gun laws in Wisconsin, and then he got $3.5 million worth of NRA support.
There have been men and women of courage who've been willing to stand up and think more about the future of their children and their grandchildren than they thought about their own futures.
Scott Walker, you are not one of them. This message was paid for by the People for People Corporation. Donate online at p4ppc.org, p4ppc.org.
We are live outside the home of Joe and Rosie Goddard, where a pretty big tickle fight broke out just minutes ago. Sources say their father instigated the laughter. Let's go inside for a comment. Apparently, they have no comment. Dads, let this be a reminder that it only takes a moment to make a moment. Call 877-4DAD-411 or visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
We got Mark Pocan live via phone. Mark, does Paul Ryan hate poor people?
Oh, he hates poor people and middle-class people. I mean, I think when he was probably 5 years old playing with Play-Doh, trying to, adjust the taxes on Play-Doh. So, to be fair, I think he's doing what he always said he was going to do. It's just no one actually believed he was either that cruel, evil, or dumb to do it.
The Devil's Advocates, weekday afternoons on 1510 a.m. Wisconsin's Resistance Radio.
The Devil's Advocates, so relevant they have 1 foot in tomorrow.
Well, it's all.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show on Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network. We are in studio. We're joined in studio. Chris Walton, chairman of the Democratic Party of Milwaukee County. Chris, thanks for sticking around, man. I want to, if you have just a minute here before we perhaps take some calls, your background. How did you end up in this position as chair of Milwaukee County?
Sure. Well, first and foremost, I was born and raised here in Milwaukee on West Capitol, as you can see on my shirt.
Nice.
On Facebook. Grew up, went to Garden Homes, went to Samuel Morse for the gifted and talented. We always have to say gifted and talented because we earned that. And then I went to Mesmer for high school and went to Mississippi State University for college. I've always been in love with politics since I was 9 years old. I was the odd kid reading in the newspaper, like, everybody, the news is on, be quiet, I'm trying to see. I'm like, we're watching the Power Rangers, what are you talking about? And I've wanted to be involved since then. I fell in love with the Kennedys. I'm probably the youngest Kennedy Democrat left on earth at this point. And I just loved politics. I worked on the Obama campaign. My first campaign that I worked on and got started with was back in 2004 for, funny enough, Matt Flynn. So when he was running for Congress. And I've been working on campaigns since. Worked on Governor Doyle's reelection, worked on both Obama campaigns. I worked on governor's races in Mississippi, and Virginia, and Colorado. So basically, after college, I was just a national political operative. But I always wanted to come back home to Wisconsin, and I just happened to get picked up by Rob Hansen. And he asked me if I'd be a member of the county party. And I'm like, I could do that. And it just kept snowballing from there. And Rob was going to step down. He hadn't been feeling great, and he was like, well, maybe it's time for me to step
Kind of
back
a
and take care of
stressful
myself.
job you signed up for, Chris.
A wee bit. And he asked me, and I decided to go for it. And then they chose me. So
I tell you what, let's grab a couple calls, if you don't mind. We've got Chris Walton live in studio. He's the chairman of the Democratic Party of Milwaukee County. We're going to start getting to know him a lot better. He's going to come around here more. Let's get to it. Pizza Box Mike, welcome to the show. Say hi to Chris.
Hey, Chris, how you doing?
I'm all right. And yourself?
Well, I got to tell you guys, I see some bad days coming. And, again, the messaging that's coming from the Democratic Party, who I probably will vote for everybody that's up against a Republican the rest of my life. But when the parties are deciding, and we're watching this happen across the country, this blue wave thing could come to a screeching halt if everybody continues to go that way, where the DCCC is investing in candidates that are not too progressive. Let's not get too progressive. When we're in a time on this planet where we need total progressive, and if we don't run that way and we continue to run middle-of-the-road kind of stuff that I'm hearing the messaging. I went to the DPW today. I'm still upset about how nobody in this party has decided to touch anything with the Lena Taylor situation. And I'll let it go at that, because I'm going to be the one, I guess, that brings it to the forefront. And as long as we continue to run a party that's shifting to the same direction of what we've been fighting against, I'd prefer to be more like Obama than the likes of comparing ourselves to Trump or Sheriff Clark.
Mike, cut you short there. Chris, if you'd like to respond, Pizza Box Mike, a very progressive guy, very activist guy. Some of us feel a little left out here on the left. Don't feel like the Democratic Party is quite where we're at.
Yeah. Well, first and foremost, you're not going to get a Massachusetts Democrat elected in the middle of Utah. We have to get candidates who actually fit their districts. But at the same time, I'm going to vote for the candidate who best represents myself and my community and the issues that I care the most about. So I would highly encourage everybody to, first and foremost, be involved and be out there working on those campaigns. And then you generally will get that candidate that you want, that whether it be more progressive or whether it be more center lane. I would encourage Mike to definitely be involved, remain involved, and make sure that everybody who's interested in being involved comes out and helps to make sure that candidate is the one who wins the nomination.
Oh, come on, Chris. We're not trying to get Democrats elected, Bernie-crats elected in Utah. We're just trying to turn this state so it ain't Mississippi anymore.
Yeah. I went to college in Mississippi, and I think Mississippi's a great state. But as far as its politics, I do not want to see that north of Mississippi state line.
Well, Chris, I know you don't live in Mississippi anymore.
Oh, yeah.
I want to thank all our fine guests today. They included former Packer and WRD's own Darryl Ingram, Michael Cummins over at the Isthmus, and Chris Walton, chairman of the Democratic Party of Milwaukee County. Have a wonderful and safe Memorial Day weekend. Dom and Crute back on Tuesdays. Best of all weekend. You'll listen anyways because you love us. Have a great one.
Do you own a rental property, or would you like to partner with a rental investment team? Call the pros you can trust at CCL Management. Rental expertise second to none, a general contractor on staff to direct repairs and improvements, and real estate brokerage services tailored to the small investor. If you're ready to invest in rental property or just need professionals to manage your real estate portfolio, call us, CCL Management, at 608-833-0009.